Good evening, everybody. Hello, how are we doing? Excited to be on this evening. And look, Rameem is on. Rameem was on from 6:23. I came on. You guys make you make this work so easy. It's so easy. And you said, pleasant good evening, members of the loyal, patriotic opposition. And that really touched my heart because I was sitting down, and I was thinking about Barbados. And I was saying to myself, what is it that I love about Barbados? And while General just got in and he's getting himself organized, we're going to chat just a couple minutes about what we love about Barbados. But let me welcome Kamhar, who said good night, like and shared. Oh my lordy, you all touched my heart. And she was on, or he was on from 6:42 p.m. because I don't know which gender you all are, because you don't all use your right name. CG is on and said good night. Jack Murphy says good night. And listen, Rameem, I tell you, is on and said like and share this link widely. Get the knowledge out and awaken the lions. I love it. This land is our land. Stand up. I think Rameem was kind of feeling my energy because I kind of felt so patriotic this evening and saying, man, it's good to be to live in Barbados, to be a Barbadian. And I want to say up front what I really love about being a Barbadian. What I love about it is the genuine kindness of people in Barbados. Genuinely kind. On the face of it, it doesn't seem that way when you deal with people day to day. But as when you let something happen in your neighborhood and you see how the people, they rush down and they help, we help one another. I really like that. And I want everybody who comes on, I want to hear from Kamar, CG, everybody who is on Facebook and on YouTube, just to say one thing that you like about Barbados, that when you think about Barbados, it puts a smile on your face. We're being very patriotic tonight. uh, Very patriotic while we wait on the general. Anybody, Jack, CJ, Kamar, Rameem, I like that about us. I believe there is a genuine kindness about us Barbadians. What I also, and my favorite place, I have a lot of favorite places because I love Barbados. But I have a lot of favorite places. But my favorite place, it's along the East Coast. I love driving along the East Coast. I love that. And then there's a pond there, and there's a pond, and I can't remember the name of the pond, but it's beautiful right there along East Coast Road. I love that. I'm not hearing anything of Bajans. I don't understand. I don't see anything in the comment section. Sonia, good night, my dear. Sonia, before we start, we're being very patriotic tonight. We the opposition, we are reminding ourselves why we are fighting for Barbados is what's happening. Why are we fighting for Barbados? And so I want you to write, to type, you know, on what is it that you love most of about Barbados. Everton in the house. Hi, Everton. Like and share. Ace, like and share. Good night, good night, good night, good night. Oh, Thelma. Good night, Thelma. Yearwood. Good night. Please like and share. That's important. Anybody gonna join me? Nobody writing what they love about Barbados. What do you love about this beautiful country? Huh? Why is it that you, as the opposition, you are fighting? You're fighting for this country. What is it that you like? And I was reading a little document here today, and I wanted to share that with you. Did I lose it? Might have lost it. I wanted to read about the importance of democracy. I wanted to read about the importance of democracy. Probably I shouldn't read it. I just was here reading it and I thought I saved it properly so that I could read it for you, but apparently not. Oh, I have it here. I have it here. While you think of why you're fighting for Barbados, and this is our land, as Ramin said, this is our land. And it is important. The role of the opposition in a parliamentary democracy is important. Barbados, according to the Westminster system, is now governed, has now evolved into an independent parliamentary democracy. And democracy is a government by discussion, and discussion presupposes arguments and counter arguments. This is according to the Indian Journal of Political Science. Davindra Kumar wrote this. Democracy is a government by discussion, and discussion presupposes arguments and counter arguments. Parliamentary democracy is considered to be the best form of government because in this system there is scope for the people to reflect their wishes and grievances through their elected representatives on the floor of the House. As I'm reading, I want every Barbadian to reflect on what is currently happening in Barbados and ask yourself, honestly, is this what we see happening? Davindra in the Indian Journal of Political Science, I'll read that line again, says parliamentary democracy is considered to be the best form of government because in this system there is scope for the people to reflect their wishes and grievances through their elected representatives on the floor of the House. Parliamentary form of government is a method of arguments, discussions, and decision of the majority and of accepting the majority decision, providing for the right of the individual to hold a different view. Here, all points of views are expressed and discussed, as there could be always at least two sets of views on any subject. There could be at least two political parties. The essence of parliamentary democracy, therefore, basically lies in the fact that the majority has its way and the minority has its say. As Lasky pointed out, men who are to live together peacefully must be able to argue together peacefully. Parliamentary democracy is based on the party system of government. It is a government by criticism and exposition, and therefore it has to be governed by two political parties, a party or parties in power and a party or parties in opposition. Hmm. Quite interesting. Quite interesting. That is the definition of a parliamentary democracy. And this is what we live in. We're now a republic, so we're now an independent parliamentary democracy. This is what we live in. And this is why I ask you to write what it is that you love so much about Barbados. Write it in the comment section so you, as the opposition, you would know exactly why you are fighting, why you are speaking up, why you are sometimes being bullied. People don't like people who speak up. You know, why it is that as an opposition we must continue to speak. Why? Let me hear, what is it you love about this beautiful country? Barbados, Everton Nurse says, Barbados is still a beautiful place to live despite this despotic behavior. We have a voice and must speak up now or watch our freedoms whittle and wither away. Oh, Everton, I feel you. I feel you. Sonia Ashby. Oh, we're being patriotic tonight, and it's because we're patriotic. That's why we are the opposition. This is our land, land of my birth, a place where neighbors still share with you. Look out for your house and family, and that's true. That is so true. My neighbors and I, when I grow my stuff, my agriculture, I share with them and they share with me. We still do that here where I live. And we have to fight for that. Hurricane Writer says, I like freedom from speaking in artificial pronouns and mock genders. Sorry. These people are something. I love you all. You all. I love my Bajan people. Freedom from 15-minute cities. Freedom of community and movement. My own money in my hand, not my government CBDCs. Correct, Hurricane. That's why we fight for this country. We love Barbados. God loves Barbados too, you know. Mark Clark says, good night to all our ops. Stand tall and reach out to the people who would love to stand up for their rights. Yes, 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 yes. And tonight, guys, we're writing what we love about Barbados. Why we are fighting for Barbados. What it is that we love that we want to see kept. You know, I got so emotional today about Bridgetown and all the heritage sites being being pushed down. I don't think a day passes without me thinking about that, without east thinking about the East Coast, because I love the East Coast so much, you know. Yeah, I must say that and that's why I open my computer and I come on free of cost. Nobody pays me, nobody pays Caswell. We're not bought, we're not paid for. We do this because we love this land. We only have a democracy if the leaders are obeying the constitution and the rule of law, and that's why we are the opposition. We're making sure that that happens. Kamar, I know, Kamar, you love your country, but I think you're outside of Barbados, but I know it. I can see from your posts that night. I love my country. Ask anyone in my little white neighborhood, but I'm disappointed in my country right now. And it is true. It is true. It is true. Let me bring the big man in, Mr. Caswell Franklin, a patriot, and one who was, really, really cemented my love of country, patriotism, cemented me as part of the opposition, and we are happy to see you tonight, sir. Thank you. You take a lot of hits for us all. You go out there and you speak and you stand up for the soul of this country, protecting the soul of Barbados. And we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for what you're doing. How are you doing today?
Well, I am well, I was working the whole day, so I missed a lot. I had meetings from 8:30 this morning because one of the principals who got transferred as a member of my union,
Mhm.
and she got a call that she received word at 11:35 p.m. last night to say that you are moving to a new school. You know that,
What? What? What?
yeah. These people are so
Repeat,
inefficient.
repeat that for the opposition because I don't know. I run several organizations, and I don't know if there's anybody here. Hi, Edwin. I don't know if there's anybody here on this live out of all 149 that's watching at the moment, 150. Anybody here runs a business or runs an organization? I run several, and what you're telling me here does not make sense. And I know you're a man of integrity, but I want you to repeat what you just said to me because I don't understand what you're saying.
Now, I was telling you that I didn't have much time for myself today because I was in meetings. And the first meeting this morning was to represent a principal who received word at 11:35 p.m. last night that she would be moving to a new school today. You know, I couldn't believe it. I was the most shocked man.
Why?
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 Why? I'll tell you why. And a lot of people blaming the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education will not stand up and say, "It's me." It's the Prime Minister and the the Commission.
What do you
They,
mean? Which commission?
they call it the Administrative General and Professional Service Commission, and they're far from professional. They they had several years to fill these posts because there's a rule in the Public Service Act, Section 1311, that says that no established post shall remain vacant for more than a year
Mm-hmm.
unless the vacancy is allowed by the Governor General, no president, acting on behalf of acting on the advice of the Service Commission, or if the minister freezes the post. Well, none of those two things happen. So you had people working contrary to what the law says in excess of 2-3 years. And after 3 years, they say, okay, we no longer want you. We're going to put somebody else in the post. And they're going to advertise a post for some person who, one, according to them, was doing a good job. No complaints about the job the person was doing. But then you want to fill the post and you have to take that person out. So you arrange an interview. And they say, oh, that person did not do a good interview, which is nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing a good job. They were doing a good job as principal, according to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring people in from in the ministry who were not even teachers, they were education officers now. And even I think an education officer is going to Harrison College as principal. You know, they pick the friends. And then
What? I'm in disbelief. I don't. Anybody on here understand? This is such bad management. I don't understand. I mean, we were in this nice mood talking about beautiful Barbados, and then listen to this. You are going to transfer someone to be a principal from one school to the next at 11:50 something the night before school starts. How do they prepare for that school? Is this right? No,
no,
no, seriously, guys.
but it happened to several principals according to the news this afternoon. When I got home, I heard the 5:30 news, I think, and I heard the BUT complaint that it happened to other teachers and other principals. You know, these people, and I do not like to put blame where it doesn't belong. The Ministry of Education and the Chief Education Officer will take all the flack for this because they will not stand up and speak for themselves because they can't. The people who are totally responsible for this is the Prime Minister and the Commission, and to some extent, the Ministry of Public Service because they have to get the paperwork to the Commission and then on to the Prime Minister.
So,
Somebody says the MOE has been doing that for years. I now understand that it is not, it's been happening for years. It is that they have to carry the instructions when they get them. And
so
my
hold a
understanding
minute.
is,
Mr. I don't want to just stop you because this is this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because I run a school, so I'm trying to put myself in the position of that principal. So please bear with me for cutting you off. And I'm thinking, how do you tell someone they had a whole summer, they might have been at that school for years, and then you tell them you don't even know where they live in comparison to where they have to now go for this to this new school, and you're going to tell them that they're now the principal of another school. I would want to research the school ahead of time. This is bad management. And question, could it be because the prime minister is out traveling all over the world? Does it have anything to do with that? I know she's back in the country today. She would have come in, must be last night.
the government cannot run um, just because, sorry, government cannot stop running because the Prime Minister is not here. Mind you, she should be, because she ever so often she gives us a courtesy call, and she spends a couple of days in Barbados, and then she's gone again. But then somebody has to act for her. And the person who is acting for her, unless they are not allowed,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that is the case or not, but if they are not allowed, then these things will have to wait until she comes back. But it is unbelievable. The law says you can't have the vacancy for more than a year. In this particular case, the vacancy was there for 3 years. And you are telling me for 3 years, and principal, you are saying to me you did a good job. And then you arrange interviews and then say, oh, somebody that's better than you. I'm so sorry, we gotta move you because um I don't know, the powers that be like that person more or whatever else. Everything in Barbados now has to have the the touch of the politicians. They touch everything. So that is why the country is losing its character. Everything is going wrong because politicians cannot keep their hands on if the recruitment. Service commissions were created to keep politicians out of the selection process, but no, they are there. They make sure. I tell you already, we had situations where the court marshals,
Mm-hmm.
the last 7 that were employed, all come from St. Joseph. I'm not saying anything other than that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can draw your own conclusions. I'm not saying because the Attorney General is a representative of St. Joseph that he did it. I can't say that. I don't know. I don't have the facts. The facts that I have is that all 7 come from St. Joseph. That's remarkable if you go through an interviewing process and you interview a whole set of people, and out of all those people, the only people, and mind you, there have been people from all over the country looking for jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and only people could get a job with people from St. Joseph. If that doesn't stand out, but we had, before him, we had people who were relatives of the Attorney General getting these jobs. And they don't allow people to do their jobs because there's a vetting process. We had cases already where court marshals got the jobs, and then it turned out that they had criminal convictions. Because the politicians send a person and they're
Mm-hmm.
going. We just have to stop. You are destroying people's lives. I am saying that I'm doing a good job. Nobody is complaining. None of my superiors are complaining and saying, well, look, I don't know what this person is doing. We got to do something about her now. So, no, they said that she's doing a good job. And then you can move them
Mm-hmm.
with, school starts at 8:30. So, 9 hours notice. That can't be fair. That can't be humane. And I said, I will repeat, because I do not want people to put blame where blame does not lie. The Ministry of Education carries out functions. The Chief Education Officer might be the messenger, but that is all. Because the Chief Education Officer can only, and I can read for you the persons that she can appoint. It says the Chief Education Officer can appoint people who are acting appointments to the post of teacher, appointments to the post of supernumerary teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and then she has disciplinary control in respect of the acting teachers and the supernumerary teachers. That is the extent of her role in the recruitment process and the discipline of public officers. So any other person who gets a job in the Ministry of Education as a teacher has to come from the commission. So people would blast the chief education officer, and then sometimes you might want blasting for something, but certainly not for this one. Or the permanent secretary. They don't have any control. They just then have to turn around and scramble, having gotten correspondence lunchtime yesterday. So say, well, all these people, and the thing is, correspondence came out at lunchtime. You had to wake up, you had to get through from cooking the lunch and tell them that we got a letter here for you so that you can pass it on to the people who you are now appointing. This is ridiculous. But this is, give me the vote and watch me. They're destroying everything they put their hands on. I do not understand.
I'm still, good night, Tracy Barrow. I'm still in shock at this. Guys, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. Is it deliberate? Is it that it's just that they're just incompetent? The prime minister is just incompetent, or is it that this is a part of a plan? I can't believe that an adult could be running a country like this. I'm lost for words, honestly.
You ask if it is incompetence or what else, uh, bad management or whatever. They're not mutually exclusive. They all can exist together. She's incompetent. She can't manage anything. So it isn't one or the other. It's both. So when she said, give me the vote and watch me, you're watching. You can see for yourself that this person does not deserve the confidence that we bestowed on them. Or not we, because I tell you the truth, and it really surprised me that I got treated the way I got treated. I actually voted for Ronnie.
But on a serious note, though, this is wow. So what is the BUT? The people, the union that has most of the teachers is the BUT. So what are they going to do? Because the people are being, this is a mistreatment and ill treatment of people. Yes, there are going to be those who are happy that they're now principals, I'm sure, because those that were acting are now principals. But what about those that were preparing for their school, that they have grown to love, known the children, known the teachers, know the staff, and now 9 hours before the start of school being told that, oh, by the way, you have a new school to go to tomorrow. I mean, what about those people? Who is looking out for them?
Nobody. And you're asking about the BUT.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder myself. You see, we have the BUT and the Barbados Nurse Association and unions like that are professional teachers, professional
Mm-hmm.
nurses. They're not professional industrial relations persons. And they are, but I like the idea of being in the union. I can tell you something. Go back to 1974 when the BUT broke away from NUPW because it was the teachers division of NUPW, and they broke away. And they broke away with the union's money too, and formed the BUT. Since then, only one person on the executive has not gotten some sort of senior management job in the teaching service or in the government. So BUT has been used as a recruiting tool for the upper management in the teaching service, because you have them there, they start to create a fuss, you promote them. And so I feel a lot of people join the BUT, get on the executive, and go that route.
Mm-hmm.
They're not professionals in a lot of things that they should do. I don't think they know what they're doing. I mind you, I have friends that on BUT, and I've worked with them. But if you want me to be honest with you, I think that they might be good teachers. I don't know. They don't
Okay.
teach me, but they're certainly not good industrial relations persons. We have a case, for instance, where teachers, and I've taught a little bit, so I know teaching is one of the hardest jobs in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And people recognize that. And they had a system, or there is a system where teachers, after 15 years, would get a term's leave on full pay to recharge the batteries. And then as you get a little older, you get another term's leave after 7, and then another one after 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is to have people, little children. You have a class with 30 people in it. There are 30 individuals coming from different backgrounds, and you got to manage them. Sometimes it's like herding cats. It is very difficult, and teachers are put under a lot of stress. And the government decided they're going to stop the teachers' term leave just like that, without discussion, without anything. And the union decided they're going to go to court. No, the union should have said, look, be a teaching until you fix this, because that's what a union would do. Union should avoid court as much as possible, because you don't. I'm telling you, justice in these courts in Barbados is, again, like hen's teeth. You don't find them too often. So you practice your profession. If you are an industrial relations person, you practice industrial relations. You're a union, you take industrial action to vindicate your cause. The time that you would take legal action is if it is for an individual who you might not get the backing of all the membership. But every teacher, if you continue in the service long enough, will be entitled to their terms leave. The government stop it. Just like that. They're not hearing you, Marcia.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. For those who have just joined, I see Easy D, who is normally very easy on the government, and he's asking the first question. Easy, my brother Easy said, and which is fine. Please, nobody gang upon him. He says, "What have I missed? What is it that I can't believe?" And what you can't believe is that, Mr. Can you just, because the people who are joining, can you just repeat, Mr. Franklin, what happened to principals and teachers in this country between last night and this morning?
The Ministry of Education got word yesterday, Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday.
that some people who were principals, or people promoted to principals, some will be transferred, or whatever else. But they got the notice. In the case, the person I was representing, or I'm still representing because I'm not letting that rest. She got her message at 11:35 p.m., almost midnight, that she will be transferred the next morning to another school. No notice, no nothing. But what happened in her case is that she was acting as a principal for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
There is a provision in the law, Public Service Act, Section 1311, that says no established post should remain vacant for more than a year. So you cannot have people acting in an established job for a year, for more than a year. She's been there 3 years. No bad reports. No. As far as the ministry is aware, there were no bad reports. She was doing a good job. And then you arrange interviews and say, "Oh, somebody else did a better job than you. Do a better job at the interview." Well, anybody who knows the questions and who got friends in right places will do a better interview than you. So she got swapped out.
Mm-hmm.
And then sent to in a temporary position for three months. And then she will revert at the end of 3 months. That is unfair. Because look, you would have a legitimate expectation, but there is a deadline. It used to be 3 months. You shouldn't have a person to be for more than 3 months. The public service, the ministry then said that is not enough time for us to process the application. We want a year. So in 2010, the very first piece of legislation that the government passed in 2010 was to amend the Public Service Act. And one of the amendments was to change that 3 months to a year. So you now have a year to play with. And you can't get it done. You said it was difficult to get it done in 3 months. They give you a year. I know you can't get it done in three.
Mm.
But and I was trying to explain earlier, people blame the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education in this case is a messenger.
Right.
They pass on the information. I
From the, yeah, from Mayor Motley.
from the prime. Well, what happens? The prime minister has to be consulted on who becomes the principal in the secondary school. So even if the Ministry of Public Service and the commission comes up and say, well, these are the best people, then they still have to consult with the prime minister. The law does not say that the prime minister has to agree, but since that provision was inserted in the constitution, the prime minister has always gotten their way. This is the body the prime minister wants. That's not what the law requires, because I remember in Trinidad, they have a similar provision in their constitution where the prime minister must be consulted. When Patrick Manning was prime minister, he recommended somebody to be permanent secretary, during the consultation period. The commission appointed somebody else, and Patrick Manning put the commission before the court. The judges ruled. You were consulted. That's all that's required. It doesn't say that you make the decision. It says you have to be consulted. You were consulted. So, so live with it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the law of Barbados too. But in every case, every head of department, every deputy head of department, every permanent secretary, and every deputy permanent secretary is not allowed to be appointed in Barbados unless the prime minister signs off on it.
Mm.
As a result, we have had more square pegs in triangular holes than anything that this country has ever seen before. And I'm not talking about only about this administration, because this administration now does not even like public service. They treat the public service like their play thing. They appoint consultants on their own without going to the commission. Because and you have people working in ministries that the ministers bring on. Ministers
Mm-hmm.
can't hire anybody. By the time the permanent secretary bring them on, the permanent secretary can't bring them on now because the Public Service Act has overruled all of that. But nobody gives two hoots about what the law says in this administration. The law that this Barbados Labour Party government passed when they were in office in 2007, one of the last pieces of legislation that they passed is the Public Service Act. They ignore it completely. They don't realize it exists. And it says here in Section 3, you don't go look far. This act applies to the following persons in the public service, whether appointed before or after the 31st of December 2007. And it says A, public officers, and B, temporary employees. So all those people you see bringing ministries and there, they should have gone through a selection process, not by the prime minister, not by any minister saying, this is my man. They're supposed to be vetted by the Public Service Commission. Well, they don't call it Public Service Commission, they call it the Administrative General and Professional Service Commission. They're a lot of fancy names, like changing titles and things, but still the same person, still the same body. So we have a situation now where the government has corrupted everything, and a lot of their friends though become
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you something. If you were a Democratic Labour Party supporter and you were not appointed prior to the government changing,
Right.
like Alombi used to say, crap or smoke your pipe, because 9 chances of the time they can get rid of you, even if it means bringing a case against you. And I have represented more Dems since this in the last 5 years than I've represented in my entire career. When I was working at NUPW, and then when I started working with Unity Workers Union, they target the Dems to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
At statutory boards, public service, you name it. These people, and I'll tell you, the Prime Minister, through side of her mouth says, "Oh, we don't want to destroy the Democratic Labor Party. We even try to get into seats in the Senate, and then and the people vote against it, all kind of thing." That's a bunch of hogwash. That's public relations. That is propaganda gimmicks. Because they want the dams destroyed. Mind you, the dams want to destroy me, but I don't mind. Have you heard what I thought about me today? Somebody told me I didn't listen. But the real thing is that this government says one thing, but does the next. I remember when I was in the Senate, when they came up with the idea of Republic Day being the 30th of November. I said then, but I was attempting to say that the reason for this is that the former Prime Minister, the very excellent Errol Walden Barra, got rid of a man called Motley from the city. He said if he can't get Motley out of the city, he's going to get the city out of Motley. And Barra abolished local government to get rid of that man. And they said, and no, Motley's granddaughter, and the president cut me off and said that I am attributing improper motives to a member of the other place, and the rules of the Senate don't allow you to do so. I said, Mr. President, while I'm guided by you, you seem that you can read minds, because I was going to say that she's trying to take Barra all independence. But now since you say I can't say so, I won't. But that's my belief. Okay? And that is what is happening. Everything that the Postal National Insurance billing, Barra bill. You know what I mean? Everything. They want to erase him. Next thing you know, you're going to print $100 bills. $50 bills. Because they want to take him out.
But Mr. Franklin, I am saying here that every teacher, every principal, and that's the thing, that we have to move beyond. You know, we have to not be selfish, because once we were fine, we weren't removed, we weren't transferred, and therefore, well, nothing happened to me. But we can't live. That's not the Barbadian way to live. That's not the Barbadian way to live. Somebody says justice to all Bajans, and tonight we are saying justice to the teachers, because all you have to do is to put yourself in the place of the teachers, and to think about how do you prepare for something like that, even emotionally. How do you prepare for that? How do you begin to think about your commute? Remember, you would have planned it out already. You know what you're doing, and to be told 9 hours before the start of school that you're going to be transferred to another school. I want to ask those of you who are on here, who some of you write me to think that we're also against the BLP, and we're trashing the government, etc. Do you really think that this is acceptable? I want you to stop and to ask yourself, forget about the color, whether it's red or blue or whatever. Ask yourself, is this acceptable behavior? We say in Barbados, the prime minister says that they want Barbados to be, first class. Remember, we read that the other night. That is part of the goals that they have, to be first class. Is this first class? What about this is first class? Or when we talk about first class, are we then, Mr. Franklin, just talking about the digital IDs and all of these, the gender fluidity? That's what makes us, those things that make us first class? But what about this? I want to ask everybody, that there are 285 of you on. What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about this? This is, and that's why I love Mr. Franklin. He brings these issues to us. Look at it. Ask yourself the question. I want you to comment on it, guys. Comment on it. Or, you might not want to make a comment because you don't want your name get out there. But at least you're in your home. So you might be driving in your car. Think about what I'm saying. Would you want to be told the night before you're the head of a department that you are no longer going to head that particular department, you're going somewhere else? Think about it.
But not only that, you're going somewhere else for 3 months.
For 3 months. Yes, Kerry. I mean, it's wrong. It doesn't matter what the party is. I'm sure Earl, what's his name? My friend here, my brother here, um, Easy D would agree with that. That's not right. That's not right. There's no proper explanation for that. What it is, you forgot to tell them? And you're going somewhere for 3 months. What you take people for? This is disrespectful. These are adults who studied and did everything that they were supposed to do. This is disrespectful, Mr. Franklin. Totally disrespectful.
You won't get any argument from me on that score because I told them that much today. You can't disrespect people like that. You treat people that is inhuman. That's not a humane thing. You cannot. Look, when my children were small and they got into trouble or they were going to, I would tell them, treat people the way you expect to be treated. And if you do that, you will never go wrong. And I tell people who I talk to as adults who are managers and stuff, I say, look, treat people the way you expect to be treated. And you don't have to know any law, any regulation, or anything. So if you say to somebody, if you say, but nobody could do that to me, then don't do it to nobody. And you will see how it works. It works well. Trust me. People that I've spoken to, and I told her that stop calling me, asking me for help, because people call me and say, well, what's the rule of law here? What's the rule here? What's this here? After a while, I said, look, stop. I don't want to be you calling me all the time. All you have to do is to treat people the way you expect to be treated. And all of them have come back and said to me, they're not the management school are teaching the management that kind of stuff, didn't prepare them for that. You got all kind of qualifications in management. But all you have to do, remember that golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you practice that, because I don't think anybody that made that decision, that kept people back 3 years in their job, expecting that I can finally fill this job, and then you're going to come and yank them out without any disciplinary process or anything like that. Because you say, oh, they're doing a good job.
Mm. This is above. I mean, this is. I don't know. I don't know. I wonder. I don't know if we could get a chance to speak with the BUT president. I don't know how possible that is. Would you think he would come on the show? I would want to ask
I
some
don't
questions.
know him. I don't know him. I've seen him on TV and on the newspapers, but I don't know him.
Because we need to ask him a few questions. Anybody who can give us any contact to the BUT president, and he might be listening or she might be listening. We need a conversation because our teachers are not being treated properly. This is disrespectful. I came on here quite peaceful tonight talking about beautiful Barbados. Oh, I love Barbados. We listed all the things we liked about Barbados, and then to hear how we're treated. Barbados is not just the beach and the sea and the vegetation and the buildings. Barbados is the people. It's the people. You cannot treat people like this. This is wrong. I don't care what party this is you're from. This is totally wrong.
Marcia, despite all this, I still love Barbados. I give a story, about something that happened. One day I was in town, and this guy was begging for money to buy food. And sometimes you can feel the fellow when he's genuine. I felt he was genuine and he needed that food. I gave him $10, two $5 bills. And the man turned and gave what he got a bag of next, he $5. It's just cheese on bread. I was sorry, I didn't give him 20 then, you know what I mean? But he's a beggar. He had $10 and he gave 5 to somebody else who was worse
Mm.
off than he was. That's the Barbados I like. I like the little boy who can make me $3 on Saturday. You know? Those are the things I like about Barbados. People who care. But we have politicians that care about their pensions. That they can get them at 50. Well, not the prime minister. She doesn't get hers at 50. She get hers whenever she ceases to be prime minister. Any person who's appointed prime minister in Barbados, if it's only for a day, they get a pension for life. So politicians aspire for to that 8-year thing. When you serve 8 years, you get your pension. At age 50, if you're not re-elected, you get a pension at age 50. Now, if I were 50 years old, lose my job, I gotta go look for one. Not them. They get half their salary after 8 years, 12 years to get 2/3 of their salary. You can live on that, especially when you're home saying, I'm doing nothing. Mind you, they were in the house saying, I'm doing nothing too. So, but that is what they just look out. And your definition of democracy earlier, remember you started,
Yes.
you recognize that in Barbados?
Nope.
Does not happen. Nobody looks out for the representative of the people don't speak for them in the house.
Hmm.
Because if the representatives were speaking for their people, their constituents, they would say, hell no, you're going to change them national insurance thing from 500 to 750 contributions. That's 15 years. Maybe only getting ours at 8, but they're going to get 15 and then go back 6 years to get it too. They would have been saying those things. They don't speak up for you. They speak up for the party. Because remember, if you don't toe the party line, you get treated like Maria Yagard. Don't forget her. Even when Arthur decided that he ain't following the party line, started prime minister, there were steps to kick him out the Barbados Labour Party by these despots. So you must understand that we have created a cadre of politicians who are self-serving. They do not care. They're not like the older politicians who served this country for the betterment of this country, who gave back. Most politicians in Barbados now are not giving back to the country. They're trying to see what the country can give to them
Mm-hmm.
because most of them don't have any talent in any area. And the few who are lawyers are not among the top ones. Let me put it that way. I'm not going to go higher than that. You know, and so that's the problem. So politics and government is about making them, not about doing something for Barbados. And that is the problem we have. That is why Barbados is going down. You see people like Barrow. You really think he had to be a prime minister in Barbados? Morris King. You really feel like he had to be an attorney general? Man was an action lawyer. He could have met money hand over fist. Louis Tull, Henry Ford, David Simmons. You know, these people could make money without being in policy. As a matter of fact, some of them took their salary cuts, income cuts, rather, because they were not getting it. They were working for themselves. They got less money from coming into government. But now we have a set of people who weren't getting any money at all, or very little. And now they're rushing and they're getting the big bucks now. That is the problem with our country. The politicians don't have anything to give. They don't have any service to give. It is only about them preparing themselves and then hiding their fortunes in wherever else and buying trust now that they will do. So I am very sorry, but this country has created a cadre of politicians that are self-serving mostly. You have one or two that might still be interested in the good of the people, but you gotta ferret them out. You don't find it. It is not readily seen. You can't identify them. We had a fellow called Hamila. Hamila was one of the last politicians who used to really work, and look out for his people. He wasn't one of those Dr. Hamila or Professor Hamila, and so he was just old boy Hamila, but he used to work for the people of
For
his
the
country.
people. Yeah.
Not only
He
his
was in
country, but
he was in the Pine area because when I
yeah,
came, I heard
yeah.
about him a lot. He was, yeah, and
I
yes, I remember him. Yeah.
I remember Hamid would dig into his pocket and pay. I don't know. I might be talking all the time, but I will because it's a long time. I used to be a member of the credit committee of Public Workers Credit Union. I was the chairman of the credit committee, and Hamid would come every year for a loan from the credit union to buy hampers, Christmas hampers for his people.
Wow.
He used to do that. And I hear people saying, but you carry this and you carry that. And I saw him one day. I said, I know you don't carry the money because you bought it my friend credit union. He said, how you know that, Kazi? I said, because they approved the loan. He laughed, you know. But he would borrow money, and I'm talking about a little bit of money either, so that his people would get a good Christmas. And then he got around and spend the next year paying back that money out of his salary.
Right. You see, and
I
because
saw
yeah,
that. I saw that. People criticize him. They say a lot of things about him and things. But whatever you say about him, he had a good heart. You can't forget that part. You can talk everything else, but he had a good heart and he was genuine.
that's the same thing I say about Wood. And he was a good MP for this area, very good MP. They felt his presence, and it's so. The old people in the community now, if you go down to the beach, they talk about Wood. They love Wood because Wood would care about them. This one that's here now, I call him Mr.
Uh,
Wasteman,
Underwear?
right? Yes, Mr. Wasteman, the one who's here now. Mr. Wood, those old people gave me the 411 at the beach. They told me that he is the one. Wood is who Wood campaigned for him. He didn't even campaign for himself in the beginning stages, and they were so angry with him that Wood campaigned for him, and he's doing nothing for the people. He didn't come out and he didn't go in the communities. Wood did the work. And that's why for me, I tell myself, I don't care which party, Mr. Franklin. People say you shouldn't say that. And probably, I don't know if it's irresponsible for me to say it on air, but I just cannot waste my vote anymore. I can't do it. I don't see the sacrifice. I don't see the service. And this is not, I'm not trying to tell everybody to not, the people to not vote. And I'm not saying I am not voting. What I'm saying is that I'm not voting for any party. I'm dealing with the NP in my area because I need to see the sacrifice. Why are you there? You're supposed to represent me. And all these issues, these things happen to the teachers. Can the teachers go to their MPs? Mr.
No,
Franklin,
no. As a matter of fact, that's an offense.
what do you mean?
No, if you go to your MP, you can be disciplined for it. The general orders provide for that. So you can, if you go to your MP, you gotta be a MP and follow and go to your MP and talk to him. Because in the public service, you cannot legally approach your MP about anything to do with your work. See how they got it shut off?
Huh?
You see, they see how they got it shut off? So you can't, you should not, if you go to an MP and put in a chair
Right.
as a public officer, you can be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you something, a lot do it. You wanna know why? Because a lot of them are employed at the behest of the politicians. So when they go in and get themselves in trouble because not doing any work or misbehaving, they will tell you know who sent me? I mean, deal with them. Then that person runs to the MP, and then the MP come and cover up
Mm-hmm.
because the MP spoil everything. MP spoil everything they put their hands on.
Someone here is saying that Debbie Griffith, good night. I'm wondering because I can't believe that one person can be that incompetent and or one government. I can't believe it that could ever be the case. She's saying this is most saddening. In this case, the disruptiveness may well be a strategy to engage control in teachers' minds and lives. I'm wondering if there's something um, that is beyond it because it can't. Why would you tell people at 9 hours before at 11 something you should be sleeping, getting ready for school the next day that they have to go to another school? What do you think? Do you think that it is a case where there might be another agenda?
I tell you already, I know it's incompetence. You see what has happened. If you look back, look at the MPs in that formed the government. Most, if not all of them, were people that were promoted and pushed by mayor. They didn't go through the selection process in the constituency branches and stuff, and then emerge. She, I was going to say weasel. She weasel her way or weasel them into the position of candidate. A lot of people who wanted to be candidates were either told to step back and were offered things, or there was a campaign against them the most brutal way. And anybody who stood up to Mayor Motley could not be a candidate. And that's not how it's supposed to work. The constituency branches are supposed to select the people and send them forward to the national executive. No. But what has happened here? Then there's a candidate selection committee consisting of 3 people: the party leader or the political leader, the chairman of the party, and the person appointed by the political leader. But then, in which case, Mayor held 3 of those positions. So then she would nominate somebody to hold on for her. So you know what can happen. Her people will always be the candidates. And she picked a lot of people who, like for instance, the guy who was her father's messenger, a yard boy to clean the yard, he became a candidate. He won.
Who
And
is
the thing is,
this?
Neil Rowe.
Neil Rowe that she's wants to get rid of now.
Yeah, because he served his purpose. And the thing is, I don't know anything about the man other than what I see him saying. And I saw when he read the oath, the boy can't read. But I heard him on the platform. It was a very strange if the English language and even simple words. I remember somebody said he had achievements, right? This constituency. He can't lead a delegation anywhere out of Barbados to represent this country. But he was foisted on the people.
Mm.
That was her man. And the thing is, the best he was a fellow who used to clean her father's yard and do messenger work for him and thing. And then he got a big job. He became the guy who watched old men sleep in the Gallop Center. He got a promotion. He got a big job there. The Gallop Center where old men go and homeless old men will go at night and sleep. He got the job of watching them. That's a big job, big jump. And then from there, MP, parliamentary secretary, no deputy speaker. That is the kind of person that she is.
So what is going to happen to these? What recourse the teachers have? they will have to go ahead and take and take these appointments.
Well, they will, because I hear the beauty um, saying congratulations and all kind of stuff. But you're not going to get the union now to get anybody because if I'm looking to get a principal too. You see? So if any action is taken, it's got to be individual. So you can go to court. And you have a good case for legitimate expectation. You cannot tell me the law says you must you must appoint people within a year. You kept them working for 3 years without appointing them. And then after 3 years, say, oh, we can do the appointments now. I put somebody that I hadn't got a clue that never did the job. And let's say I'm doing it, she was doing it well. And they said so. I remember that she was at another school before then, she was having some difficulties. I went to represent her back then too. And the principal, she was deputy. And he wrote this long report. I said to him, you used to teach what work. He said, me no taught science. I said, well, reading your report here is written in what work. Because it's in English. You got people like that as principals, that can't read English. He said I insulted him and things. But no, I said, sorry, reading what you got here. The man cannot write English. Principal. But you got to have friends. The same man was in the school and he told the little boys, when you become a little boy, you start to get hair on your face, that's your pride and joy, that's your main. Sometimes I remember my own experience. I got mine late. I got mine when I was 20. And I was a soldier, I gone on parade, 2 single strands of hair on my chin. And Major Lewis, Brigadier Lewis, he was my company commander. He came with my inspection. And when he came down, he says, young man, you need a shave. Follow. I had to go in the bathroom and do so. I pull all through here and then come back. I water my eyes, not because the hair hurt me, because he lost my mane. Those things are important to young men. And you put somebody like that as a principal. The thing is, I can understand if a woman did that, but not a man. When you have little boys, man, when you see that, man, when that first hair come out, man, I was growing it and watching it here, and you would think I had a full beard. I was proud of that. I had to pull it out. I'm going to tell a little fella go and shave off his because, this fella had locks. This principal got locks. And he made the little boys take off the only 3 or 4 layers up on the chin. That's demoralizing. You keep them as a principal. This is the kind of people that you want. I don't know what to do with them this time around. Because the school around is crumbling around him. But mind you, I don't even think that he was in a position to be appointed that was because his principal is suspended from misappropriating funds or suspicion of misappropriating funds. So he's locked out for years on suspension. So he's acting. I don't know what happened with him.
So he probably got promoted to be principal.
I don't know. I haven't seen the list yet.
You haven't seen the list. But my sadness is for principals to feel that there's nothing that they can do about it. And because this is how abuse, if you're in an abusive relationship and you get beaten as a woman or a man, whatever the case is, and you say nothing about it, and they somehow they come home again and they beat you again, and then in Jamaica you say you turn a beating stick. And it seems like over the years, our principals, our teachers, that they've now grown accustomed to being treated and to being disrespected, being that you wipe your feet on them, and they've now accepted it as norm. And that is sad to see Bajans being treated this way, and they think that is okay. That is sad.
But your analogy is really good, because it is an abusive relationship. You're in to work in public service now. It is an abusive relationship. They abuse you. You know how many people come to my office and cry?
Mm-hmm.
And all they could do is take out my bounty roll and them some and sit down and talk with them for a little bit and they tell me what they feel better and that kind of stuff. But they go home and cry later on their husband too. Because these people refuse to respect others, to have empathy for the other people around them. They don't care about anybody unless it is their friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I'll tell you something. Again, I remember saying in the Senate that in the public service now, you get jobs and promotions, but if you have large ties, and I'm not talking about large school, I'm talking about the fraternities.
Fraternity, if you're part of the
You
lodge.
have school ties, or familial ties, or ties of the carnal kind.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people get jobs so in the public service now too. And the place is being destroyed. I have never seen it like this. I've been working around the public service since 1980. In and
Right.
around, because I was a public officer and then I started to work in the unions and started working for public officers. So I know the public service quite well. It's never been like this. We have permanent secretaries now who do not know the extent of their power. I think because they're permanent secretary, they run the whole anything that's inside their under the minister's control that they can go in there and do what they like. But
Hmm.
this will crash.
But I know we've asked this question before on the show. How can we get rid of this government now? We see the incompetence. Everybody should be able to see it, unless we're being very, um, you know, partisan. And for some people, they say, but we have to keep her because we don't have another one. There's nobody else in Barbados that can really govern this country. That's the only person that we have. This is what you hear from people, who say she's the only person that we have. And they say there's nothing we can do about it. We can't do anything about it. We have to live this way for the next 3 years. And even then, we don't have anybody to do it. What do you say about that, Mr. Franklin?
Bunch of hogwash. I remember they said that about Wayne Arthur.
Mm,
They said that they're going, he's just there. They don't really want him, because they're going, as soon as the government change, they're going to move in and put somebody else and thing. And he stuck around for 3 terms. He did damn good job with the first two, and then get arrogant in the third. So somebody will emerge because you remember there were 3 blind mice: Wayne Arthur, David Simmons, and Henry Ford. Those were the people who were in the opposition 1986 to 91.
mm-hmm.
And when the dam started to crumble, Wayne Arthur was the only one who didn't have a job. So they made him leave the opposition so he can get a salary. And people say, oh, that's just a stopgap thing, they just want to get there. Because the boy want he and that kind of stuff. And they can't, he can't manage this place, that kind of stuff. He did. So nobody knew his ability until he actually got the job.
Mm-hmm.
And right now there's an old saying that the old people had when I was a little boy growing up. I don't hear it now. It says before none any. And this is what we have. We got any now. No, we can't just sell for any. There are a lot of people in Barbados who are very capable, but they do not go into the political trenches because how nasty it is.
Mm-hmm.
We need to change the system. A lot of well qualified people don't
You have a
want.
question. Yeah, you have a question there on the screen.
That's not correct, you know. It's not seniority above qualifications. You it is you have to merit and ability counts.
Mm-hmm.
Where if, however, there is a job that mundane and routine and stuff, and they ain't got much skill or anything, then seniority takes the takes precedence. But those are menial work. Not you in the public service now. You have people who don't have the qualifications, but they get the job because they have the political connections,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can give you an example now of a case where in the immigration department, the person who is now leading the immigration department did not have the qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a provision in the law that says that the minister can assess your qualifications and determine that the qualifications are equivalent to what you require. So the person got in that way. So you can have people who don't have the qualification anywhere, or people that these people have been working good and their years of experience and that kind of stuff equates to the qualification. And the person who should have been there was taken down.
Right.
And I suspect because that person is not a Barbados Labour Party supporter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the biggest problem. You have to be a Barbados Labour Party supporter. And because the Prime Minister makes the final decision, if you're the best fellow in the world and you're a damn, you ain't getting the job. Unless you're the them that went to Queen's College.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's the reality of what's going on in this country.
You know, we talked about corruption and we defined that on this program. For our viewers, forms of corruption can include bribery, lobbying, extortion, cronyism, nepotism, parochialism, patronage, peddling, graft, and embezzlement. Right, and these are all forms of corruption. And this is what we are seeing happening. This government blamed the other government for being corrupt, and now they're doing the same thing. In
No,
fact,
they're not. They're not doing the same thing. They're doing
they're
it
not
much
doing
better.
the same.
They're doing it much
Oh,
better.
oh, they have taken corruption to a whole nother level.
You know, so let me tell you something. I am not here trying to justify the dance behavior or something because their behavior was bad too.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that they were up to held up to scrutiny much easier. This group now has PR people, enough PR people. You bring them in from overseas,
Mm-hmm.
appoint them in public service posts, and pay them more than the public service maximum for the post. But they're good at what they do. So when you have an issue, they they manage it. So
Mm-hmm.
things look much better under them, but they're far worse. It's just that they got better PR. The Dems weren't good at this PR thing.
Right.
That is the major difference. The Dems did crap, yes. These people are doing far more crap, but they have a better way of hiding it. They have a better way of soothing it over and making it look good.
Mm.
PR. They had to put that. Look at the PR people you have. The guy from St. Kitts, he is there. You got Roy Morris. You got Sanka Price.
Mm-hmm.
All these people are media people, media specialists. Um, you ever see CBC covering our marches? You don't think our marches make news? right?
CBC don't they won't even come to a press conference with anything that is against the government.
Right? So that's the problem. Right? If you can't suppress it, you bury it. Then they have taken over the media, the print media in particular. You can't the stories if the stories are not favorable to the government, they'll go on page 19. That kind of thing. You know, they don't make the front page. You got a lot of little monkey stories on the front page. Then you got real damning stuff. They don't print them.
You
Honestly.
know, this is it's so sad where, to think that the teachers would feel that they should take this kind of abuse unless they don't see anything wrong with it. They've been so abused that they don't see that anything is wrong with 9 hours before the start of school. For those who are just joining us, we're discussing that the principals were transferred from one school to the next, and they were communicated. This communication was given to them nine. Some were given 9 hours before the start of school. At least we know that they would have gotten it on a Sunday. The Sunday that they would have prepared, understand the culture of the school that they're going to, plan their route already. They have built relationships with people there, and they had an idea. And I mean, if it's Sunday night and you have school Monday, there's nothing in your mind could ever tell you that you would be transferring to another school. And in some cases, you're transferring to the school, and as Mr. Caswell is Franklin is telling us, you're transferring to the school, and you are there, for 3 months. They feel they have real power over people, boy.
They do, you see. That's the unfortunate thing. I know why they got the power of people because the unions in Barbados let them.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
unions are not standing up for anything. Remember last night, Stephen Strickland was talking about what's happening in national insurance, right?
Yeah.
And he was complaining that the unions did not stand up for the workers. They're selling them out. Well, you didn't. Well, I've been saying that for a long time. But you
Yes.
heard it from some person now who one is a pastor. He doesn't have any political connections as far as I know. And he can come out and say that. And but I know him for a lot of years, and I don't know him to be a dishonest fellow.
Yeah, you could feel the integrity that is coming from him, which is important, And I loved how you started the program this evening, where you said people are going to blame the Ministry of Education, but it's really, it goes right back to the Prime Minister, because they can't do anything. They would have gotten the communication, and then 12 o'clock yesterday, and having to send it to the teachers. So, I mean, and I love that. That is integrity, because we don't we ever because sometimes if I didn't hear that, I would think it's the Minister of Education, because I'm saying, what is that woman doing up there now? But recognizing that they would, but it's they don't have any strength of character to stand up to the PM, to be able to say to them, but this is wrong. You can't do this to people. This is unfair. They need to come out to the public, go to the media, and let the media know what happened.
You see, if you go to the media, you can be charged because you cannot speak to the media about public service matters, things that are going on in public service, unless you get permission from the minister. The minister not going to give permission to criticize them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can be charged with that. One of the things too with the senior public officers now, the prime minister has instituted contracts, 3-year contracts with people. This Westminster system of government has a political class that is temporary,
Mm-hmm.
and you change them every 5 years. Should be more often. And the permanent civil service, who will service whoever politician comes into place. So they're supposed to be apolitical, above politics. Don't get involved in politics. But now you have a situation now where you have the politicians saying to these people, we are only appointing you on 3-year increments.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you are the Comptroller Customs, Chief Education Officer, Permanent Secretary, Chief Agricultural Officer, you name it, all those chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you get your contract renewed on, or you get appointed for 3 years. Chief Immigration Officer, um, Chief Labor Officer. All these are people who will be still subject to contracts when the fellow occupying them gone, the other people will get
Yes.
contracts. All right? Now you get this contract. You go in there and you talk pretty and you get the contract. Then your job is up for renewal in 3 years. The minister is doing something that is not in the best interest of the country, but the minister wants it done. The permanent
Mm-hmm.
secretary, the head of the department, is supposed to tell the minister so. But my contract coming up in 6 months, you really feel like intelligent? So that is a way of controlling them. That is
Mm-hmm.
why
Okay.
judges were appointed, and you can't abolish their posts by the judges in the post, that kind of thing, to give them security. Well, once the judge is appointed, you can't get him out unless you find him corruption or misbehavior or he loses his mind. You know?
Mm.
But the other civil servants, other politicians don't have that protection. And worse yet, they don't have permanent jobs though. They have
Mm-hmm.
contracts. So the minister will decide, something, we want you to do X for us. And you can say, but no, minister, that's not right. And what will happen? Somebody else will get the job and come do what the minister wants. And what is dangerous about this is that when you appoint people on contract, let's say you appoint principals on contract, but the person who got the job was a senior teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And they went in, taught pretty, get the job for 3 years. Then let's say the government changes or your people don't favor you anymore. What are you going to do? Go back on the senior teacher? Well, can get laughed at by the people who you were supervising previously. It's madness.
Mm.
You see, Prime Minister comes up with these here brain ideas. Don't have them tested, announce them, and then they have to be implemented. That is the problem with our system. Our biggest problem in the public service is now the minister responsible for public service.
You know, boy, I tell you, this I started off so cheery, talking about Barbados and what I love about Barbados. Still love Barbados, but I am saddened to know that the backbone of our nation, the teachers, our education, which is so important that Barrow fought so much for, that we're treating our teachers in such a disrespectful manner.
Uh,
This is
you,
disrespectful. It's
you,
sad.
you know, right? People not realize it. But if you're a priest, a doctor, a lawyer, a fellow who cuts grass, a judge, all of those people have to pass through teachers first.
Correct.
So one of the most important professions I believe is a teacher. Because if you're the teachers, you're gonna get them doctors, you're gonna get them lawyers,
Yeah.
you're gonna get them engineers. So they are minimizing what teachers are. And I'll tell you something in Barbados, they are surrogate parents too. Because I know
It's
a lot of
true.
teachers who feed children, who
Mm-hmm.
provide pencils and books and the odd pair of shoe. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are destroying a profession. Unfortunately, the people who are supposed to protect them, their union, isn't handling the job well either. I don't think it's because of any love for any political party or anything like that. It's just they know what they're doing. But the
You
BST
know,
political party, but I'm talking about them.
mm,
But the two
I,
teachers unions,
the two teachers union. Okay, they're two
the
teachers
secondary
union.
teachers unions, the SNOB union, and the BUT, Barbados Union of Teachers. The Barbados Union of Teachers, I think they mean well. I
Hmm.
don't know if they have the wherewithal to produce that wellness.
Right. So they deal with the BUT deals with the primary schools.
No, well, there's no such division anymore because when we had schools like Carmel Harrison College and Lodge that were not really controlled by the government itself, they were controlled by governing bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So they were the cream of the crop, and the teachers in those unions used to join the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union. The other
Mm-hmm.
teachers used to join the NUPW. NUPW teachers division pulled away from NUPW and formed BUT. So they were then responsible for the comprehensive schools and in the secondary schools. But what has happened, BSTU now realized that we can't be so haughty and snobbish and stuff. We got to get more people because we want more money.
Mm-hmm.
But they start poaching on the other union's domain and even started recruiting ancillary staff from the school because right now it's about money, not about representation. That's the problem.
Yeah. This is it is really, really sad. That's all I can say. My mom was a teacher. I am a teacher. And I'm sad to know that this is, I teach privately. But it's sad. All I have to do is to put myself in the place of the teacher. And that's all I need to do. And that's all I'm asking Barbadians to do. And as we know how to do as Barbadians, and to think about the teachers and what they're going through. And I'm hoping that if you're a teacher and you're watching this, that you understand your worth, you understand who you are, and what value you give to society, and how important you are to everybody here. Without you, we could not read and write. You're a pillar of society. And I know that people make a lot of comments about teachers, but there's so many good ones that do way more than teaching. And someone said earlier, Mr. Franklin, that one of the reasons we don't see teachers walking off the jobs and of their jobs is because they're concerned about the children that they teach. And that is so true. They think about CXCs, they think about SBAs, they think about deadlines. They do think about those things. And so that is why for us, all of us, we need to speak up on behalf of the teachers. You should put this on your Facebook page, talk about the disrespect, put it on your WhatsApp, send around stuff, stand up for the teachers who can't stand up. I know they're part of a union and the union should be doing that for them. But right now we're just gonna be Bajans. Let's be good Bajans, right? But Mr. Franklin, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. We've spent about an hour and a half or probably thereabout talking about that, and it just like had me like drop my the excitement I started with show with. I just kind of dropped, man. But I thank you so much. I see our friend Kimar is here, Mr. Franklin, and I want to ask him. Good night, Kimar.
He's stuck. It looks like he's stuck.
It looks like he's stuck. Kimar. Yes, it looks like he might have to go
Is it
off.
moving?
Yeah, if he's hearing me, Kimar,
You know,
oh
Kimar?
yes,
Yeah,
something
he's
is
moving.
yeah, it's
Yeah, hearing no, hearing no.
you're hearing now, right? Your Wi-Fi was giving trouble there. I was saying good night and welcome to the show.
I can't hear no. You're sticking again.
Okay, I'm sticking. I'm I sticking for you, Mr.
No, no, no. He is sticking.
Okay, so Kimar, probably try to go out and come back in. Let's try try that. Let's see if he can go out and come back in. Let me see if I could send him a WhatsApp to do that. I was expecting Lumumba as well. He was on earlier, but I'm not seeing him now. Okay, so Kimar is okay. Let's see if he could leave and come back in. Let's see how that works. Uh Mr. Franklin, any news about the IDs? Are you hearing? Because I think tonight is when they have they're going to have the town hall meeting.
Well, in all honesty, I usually get my news when the family premise is making these statements. I always get it second hand because I let people read out the full fecal matter, and I didn't read the reports because when you go on, when you actually see her at these press conferences and stuff, it's a lot of nonsense. So I just want to just separate out and let somebody else do that for me, and I read or sometimes
Read.
send me excerpts, so I wouldn't hear it up front. Trust me, I wouldn't.
Right, right. Let me see if I can hear Kimar now. Kimar, good evening. Can you hear me now? Am I still breaking up? Hmm. Someone is asking a question here. What has become of Albert Branford, who wrote a column in the Sunday Sun newspaper?
He,
Oh
he's
man.
retired.
Mhm.
He's retired. Uh, if we all live long enough, we'll get to that point. He's retired.
He's retired.
Yeah.
Albert Branford is retired. I know that Kimar wanted to come on to, he was going to talk about the IDs and also about Drax Hall Plantation because one of the member of the opposition, handed us some things, right? As Caswell said, things just kind of drop on his desk. But I don't know if you saw that someone handed me a letter, and it's signed by the director of planning and development, and this is about the subdivision of land from other lands of Draxall plantation for residential purposes. And I know that that is one of the things that Kimar. Let's see if we get him now. Let's see if we get him now. Hey Kimar. Hey Kimar. Can you hear me now, Kimar?
Yes, yes, good night. You can hear me clearly now?
Yes, yes, we're
Yeah, I
hearing
can
you.
hear you
We're
very well now.
You're hearing us very well. Well, Kimar, welcome, and I wanted you to say a few words, if you can, about the IDs. The pinning of these IDs. I know last night the show was very hot about that because we were talking about whether or not Beijing should boycott the pinning of the IDs. And so, is there anything new you want to add to the knowledge about these IDs, this digital ID?
Yes, well, good night again to you. Good night, Caswell. Good night to the viewers online. I had a really good march on Saturday, so thank you for that. The opposition was out in full force, and I really enjoyed March. Uh, Digital IDs. As I said on the show before, my deep concern with the digital IDs is the fact that it is tied to the services of government, and whenever the government seeks to push forward with whatever agendas they have, they will restrict and exclude Barbadians from benefiting from government services that we pay taxes for. Um, there were always elements of Barbadian society that felt that the public service was too big. The IMF feels that the public service is too big, and specific conservative elements in Barbados always try to dismantle Barrow's legacy. And his legacy is the building out of the public service and the offering of social services in Barbados. So that was always a sticking point, as I say, for certain conservative elements in society who feels that Barbadians could afford to pay for whatever social services the country offers. So you have people who can afford services, yes, but there are a large cross section of Barbadians. If not for the free services of the government, they would be living in abject poverty. They can't even afford basic healthcare, going to the polyclinics. Um, the way Barbados is heading in terms of the IMF program, you got to pay at the hospital. You must soon have to start paying to go to school, and this is primary school and secondary school. Uh, so whatever other governments. So this digital ID will come as a exclusion tactic, where the government will say if you are not signed up for this ID, you cannot benefit from these services, and we will consider you to be a stateless person, which means that you don't have a country, which means that you will be a foreigner in your own land. I connect this topic to the move to go to a republic, and I connect the move to go to a republic to a move to bring us into, as you said, this world class, digitally transformed society. And this is the same rhetoric that encompasses a lot of countries across the world, like Mauritius, who went on the IMF program, France, and in Africa, where the IMF spoke to a digitally transformed economy. And in digitally transformed economies, digital ID was the center at which all of this happened. So in Rwanda, if you can remember, the president of Rwanda came to Barbados.
Yeah.
In Rwanda, uh, they have the same digital ID bus system, and it operates the same way that the Barbadians are now looking to adopt. And the complaint from all of the policymakers is that it excludes the poor people from enjoying the service if they don't have the digital ID card. And there are
Ah,
so many Africans that don't have the card. So you follow where I'm coming from.
yes. And can I say something to you about the Rwanda situation? Dave and I, we went to Rwanda, and we recognize that I know a lot of people are saying that, it's the cleanest city, it is so organized, etc. But you could feel the dictatorship there, and yes, it's clean, etc. But it is like a volcano ready to erupt, and they own all that's happening. It's because of the laws that they have put in place where they can't speak about the genocide. So, and this is not, I'm not saying that he hasn't done a lot of good. Paul Kagame haven't done a lot for Rwanda, but it really felt honest, in all honesty. I mean, and looking back at it now, I could feel that there. You see a lot of police, you see a lot of it's a police state, and it's clean, it's beautiful, but you could feel that. And if you're saying that, it is in this is the same kind of system that is in Rwanda. No wonder, that they would want to emulate that. I just thought I would need to put that in.
No, but I want to join this. I'm here now to. I'm going all the way back across the ocean from Rwanda, come out back to the Caribbean. You realize that's the type of person that Prime Minister like to deal with. You remember she went and she had some relations with Baltazar. He's a murderer. You remember? Mind you,
No,
well,
I didn't know.
yeah, he's a murderer. He he killed Sergeant Major Wilford Hawkins and a, a, a few other people that opposed him when he did the coup. When he did a coup in Suriname and became their leader, that's why he became the leader of Suriname, but through a coup. And he killed people. As a matter of fact, he was tried in absentia in I think in Holland, and he's convicted. But as a sitting head of state, they couldn't lock him up because he was the head of the government at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on there and we have had a good relations with him, because they're the type of people she likes. If you look, you see the same thing I was talking
Mm-hmm.
about all the neighbor countries talk about. The people who were in the House of Assembly at the opening of Parliament, the people who the police couldn't tell shut down the place when it was a lockdown. Those are the people that the Prime Minister enjoyed. So Paul Kagame,
Yeah.
Bouterse, um,
I
the other
know,
locals.
I know they're holding him up as a trophy in Africa and so on, but you really need to examine that a little bit more. Now, I see here this gentleman, as you were speaking, and I was looking if he would have made some more comment. He's saying that is what you're saying is not true about the ID. Is that Mr. Brown? Is that what you're saying? I was waiting for you to say what is not true. I don't, if you're still there and you can itemize what it is that Kimar is saying that you are saying is not true. Is it about the ID? Let us know. Okay, please continue, Mr.
Right.
Stewart.
Yes. Uh, this is I want to quote a passage from my book here, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to call a name, which is Colin Roach. And Colin Roach, uh, he said online in one of his videos that Kimar Stewart told him that I oppose Barbados having a national bank. So I just want to read for him a part of my book that would disavow him of that opinion so that he could start saying it. And to connect it back to the whole digital system, because digital ID is just one part of an entire system. So I said in my book, Alternative Views, that it is my belief that the government of Barbados should engage in the acquisition of shares of any of the local players in the banking industry, which means that the government should seek to get back into banking. Build a bank.
Mm-hmm.
I said that out. Page 158. And that part is specifically for Colin, right? But I also went on to say that that specific bank should focus on what we call an international banking facility, right? And looking now inward at Barbados, the government put in a national payment system. And their logic was that they're trying to find a smoother transaction to move foreign exchange in and out of the country. And I mentioned before, the heads of the credit unions were added to this national payment system, which means that the credit unions now are connecting themselves to the international banking system. That has never happened. Our credit unions do not connect themselves to the international banking world. Credit unions are more domestic institutions that focus on locals within the country's walls. But our credit union is connecting itself to the new national payment system that the government of Barbados implemented in legislation, right? And they are focusing on removing, and you could go back to me on all the speeches, of what they call an automatic clearinghouse from the central bank, right? And that national digital payment system comes as a microcosm of what Barbados set up in the new digital dollar, the Barbados
Mm-hmm.
digital dollar, where they're seeking to phase out hard currency and to encourage Barbadians to spend digital money. We could recall a company called Money or BIT, which BIT was headed by former Senator Ronald Adams, who was Caswell's former colleague in the Senate. He was
They
the
put
CEO.
this together. You use colleague too loosely.
Yeah. Well, they were in the Senate together, as he said. But Ronald Adams was the CEO of BIT, and the digital pilot was called M-Money, and there was a push to integrate digital money into the Barbadian society. Right now, I must say that I support some form of digital currency, but I don't support the phasing out of cash. Right? Um, there are the benefits of digital transactions. We will not disavow that. Right? But the government of Barbados attempted to follow the Bahamas, and the Bahamas created something called the Bahamas Sand Dollar, and they ran an international pilot project for digital currency in the Bahamas, and Barbados wanted to rival the Bahamas, right? And push ourselves to be the fintech hub of the Caribbean, which is the financial technology, i.e., digital currency, digital money, digital transactions, right? So the government is using the excuse, right? The government is using the excuse that they're trying to achieve savings, they're trying to save foreign currency, they're trying to improve efficiency, improve investor confidence, or whatever, by changing over, as I tell you, the old system into this new system. But this new system is connected to other digital dollars around the world. It's connecting themselves to other digital dollars around the world. So it's an international interconnected digital system that Barbados is turning its currency into. Right? Remember when we opened the metaverse? Barbados was the first country in the world to open a metaverse, which was an embassy overseas. Right?
No,
All of this is cyberspace. Well, yeah, cyberspace is not overseas, but it's not a physical location, but it is a digital embassy,
Mm.
right? And you're saying you're going to do diplomatic transactions online. I'm sure if they brought in this system to do diplomatic transactions online, Mackie Holder would not be in the scenario that he's in, because he would have been operating digital, and he would not have had the taste that, and not now being transferred over to London to become the Deputy High Commissioner. Right? So, yes, some more information. Barbados, for those who do not know, was a country that created the first private digital currency in the world, which is the same M-Money. Right? And the person who is the ambassador to the UAE, which is Gabriel Abed, he was the brainchild behind BIT and M-Money. Right? And Barbados and BIT created a central bank digital currency in Africa. Right? Little Barbados created one of the first digital currencies in Africa. This whole blockchain technology thing. We also went across to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and we created the Eastern Caribbean Digital Dollar. And we also created some other digital dollars throughout the world, Little Barbados and BIT. So you can see clearly that Barbados and BIT has been, I can say, they had a head start on the world when it comes to implementing digital currency and the digital infrastructure to ushering the digital currency, not just in Barbados, but throughout many countries in the world, as it would have listed, right? So ask yourselves the question, how now has Barbados, how did we get ourselves so deep into financial technology? We are turning our current central bank over into a more digital friendly format, as I would have explained. And I'm saying again that not we, but the government has established the Barbadian digital dollar already. So this digital dollar is connected to your digital ID, and all government workers now will be paid through the digital, to be paid digital currency, as Caswell said in the legislation. They changed the legislation to now say that you could be paid in digital money, right, Caswell?
This yes, the new but I haven't changed it yet. Is it is proposed that the legal tender, which should be money, will now be digital currency as well. So you can have paper money and the digital currency. That is what Colin Jordan has circulated recently.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
Le-
this person
Legal
here,
tender no means
go ahead,
that
Caswell.
sorry, that person I don't know. I don't understand what he's saying. I read it to it. It didn't make sense to me, so I couldn't venture to answer it. But what I was telling Kimar is that the Ministry of Labor has proposed amendments to the Protection of Wages Act. Protection of Wages Act says you can pay people in legal tender only, or with the person's permission, you can pay them with a check or postal order or whatever. Now they're saying to you, but legal tender includes a digital currency. I know I like my money in my pocket. I want if somebody can take my money, let them pick up my pocket, but I don't want them picking up my bank account with a card or another thing.
Mm-hmm,
That is, Barbados gets itself involved in a lot of things that don't concern them. Just like we were people who were experimented on with these other nefarious jobs. Now they're
mm-hmm.
experimenting on us with money. They're experimenting on us with the digital ID. You name it. Barbados has to stop. Our prime minister is being misled because she doesn't have the wherewithal between the ears to think for herself. And people put nonsense to her and she rush off with it and then want to blame Barbados. It will destroy this country. I don't have a problem if you want to buy business thing, but don't force it by me. Let it be an
Mm-hmm.
option that you want.
Yeah. This person who's saying I already pinned. I already my ID is already my ID already has a pin. He says he's asking the question. I think we need to stop and explain because a lot of Barbadians are not understanding. He's saying, how can the government control your ID card when you will be the one who have control of it? Obviously, from this question, I don't think that he understands that we need to. So, Kimar, can you go over that again? Because I think he's thinking that he physically has the card in his hand. He's not realizing that he pinned the card to assist him, right? Because his is already pinned. So, can you just take a minute or two and explain?
The digital IDs are connected to a network, a system. So the government passed legislation. I think it was the Data Protection Act, which spoke to how the government would indeed store your information. And there were so many holes. And you could go back and hear Kim McConney stumbling to explain how the government would protect the information of people in Barbados if everyone signed on to this digital ID. So we do not have the expertise in Barbados in terms of IT specialists and computer science engineers to protect a system like that. So the persons who created it will always have worms and backdoors into the system where they could go in and monitor all of the transactions. They could have spyware in it. As Gazelle said on the show, that every time the information is entered into the National Digital ID database, that all of it is cloned and copied and sent to a server overseas. So if the government cannot protect or don't have the expertise to protect these servers of these digital IDs, right? Look at what the ID is offering you. The ID, it has all your medical records on it, all your personal details on it, bank account information. Why would a digital ID need to have your bank account information? Right? And if the ID is indeed pinned to the bank account, that means you have to log the bank account details into the ID, which means that the government will indeed see what bank accounts you own. So
That's a
so
fact.
if you're yeah, so if they're sitting and looking at they have all their information stored in the national uh ID database, and I think is the Minister of Information, I believe, information technology, I believe, that has access to this database, right? What is to stop the Minister of Information from telling a bank like a DB or one of these other international banks when they ask him to see the national database? What's to stop them from showing him it
Kimar,
under the book?
there's something that I want you to be aware of, that this ID system is being sneaked through by the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Mind you, the Electoral and Boundaries Commission didn't have any say in the implementation, but they're doing it and saying that this is what the Electoral and Boundaries Commission is doing. Again, who is the person responsible for the Electoral and Boundaries Commission? Who's the chairman? All right. Well, I can ask you another question then. Who is the chairman of the National Insurance Board?
Right? Hands, the same person.
One and the same. You see where we're going?
Wow.
You see where we're going? A motley loyalist. Trust me, I don't want none.
So the ID will essentially form a credit score in Barbados, because that's what leads to where the government monitor every single transaction that you make with the ID. So they have what we call a digital footprint of your transactions on an individual basis. Again, this information will be stored on the server. Remember, the government passed legislation to establish a credit bureau system in Barbados. I don't think a lot of people understand what a credit bureau is. That they sit down and monitor your credit score, which means that they know every loan that you have, whatever financial exposure to the system that you have, and they sit down and keep all types of records on your financial transactions. Once upon a time, the government would have had to go into the bank to get to subpoena this information. They would have had to go into the hospital to subpoena this information. They would have had to go into the national registry to subpoena this information. But now the government is merging all of this information that was kept at many different institutions and storing it into one big national database on you, the individual. So when your digital footprint does not go in line with the government policy today, they can cancel you, they can shut you out. There are examples around the world. Look at China. When
Look
you
at
do not
Canada.
Look at Canada, look at Venezuela. When you do not follow the specific agenda of the day, your digital ID is turned off. So you don't get welfare payments, you don't get universal basic income, because I am hearing discussions from politicians speaking about universal basic income. And universal basic income is one of the policies of the World Economic Forum. The digital ID is one of the policies of the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum explains clearly what are the purposes of the digital ID and how it will create a digital footprint to allow the government to more monitor the transactions of the citizens, creating a social credit score for the citizens so that they could be able to monitor social behavior. So if Caswell Franklin, that is a protester, the government could say, well, look, let's go into Caswell Franklin's national database. They could pull up and see all of the financial transactions that Caswell Franklin made with his digital ID, how much times Caswell Franklin left the island to go through the airport, all of that. And if Caswell Franklin votes, all of that information can be found or will be found eventually in a national database on the individual. Again, I just want to make this last point here. Who gave us the money to set up these national ID systems? Whoever gave us the money to set up these systems essentially own the systems until the government can pay back for these large financial loans. And if you check back the schedules of these payments, they end in 2040, 2045, close to 2050. So we ain't getting out of this thing until then. So until the government pays back those banks for giving us the money to implement this system. We are owned by them.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question, Kimar. Because I don't know the answer. In light of the fact that every system in Barbados that the government implemented has been hacked, QEH, they lost my blood. Can't find it. Um, MTW, BRA, you would have confidence to put your information in another system controlled by government?
Well, no, no, it should. I remember one of the computer specialist. I think his name was Harper. He was on the show before, and he wrote
Right.
some letters.
Let me just
Yes.
say something. It's on here, and I just want to read. So glad you brought that up, and thank you for Mr. Colin Jordan for reminding me of that. I had it to show tonight, and with his prompting, I was able to get it quickly for you. But I did a full show on this. In fact, I think I had two shows with Mr. Neil Harper, and he's an experienced digital trust executive as it relates to cybersecurity. And I remembered we had the show. Then after we had the show with him, then the Starcom contacted me to reach out to him, and we did. We reached out to him, connected him with Starcom. He went on there, and they invited Mr. Davidson Ishmael on, who is the minister in charge of this area, and he never showed up. But these are some of the questions. So these are for people who think that Kimar is making something up or Caswell is making something up. This is a cybersecurity personnel who lives, I believe he's Belgium, but lives in Germany. And he's asking question. He says, why doesn't the QR code have a private encryption key that requires a specific scanner to use it? And so the question is, now that we're asking people to pin it, the big question would be then, Kimar, did they fix this problem? He says, well, there's a QR code that is at the back of it. Does it have private encryption that would require a specific scanner to use it? At that moment, he was telling me the cybersecurity personnel was saying that anybody could scan and get the information. The government was saying that it's not much information. They can do it, but it's not much information that they would get. The Neil Harper was saying that even where he lives in Germany, that they have these cards, but it is protected. Nobody is able to do that. And so we are again, as Franklin is saying, we're doing things we don't even understand how to do it. And then he says, he asks another question. You can read it on the screen. He says, why are you allowing just any old smartphone to be able to scan the QR code? Right? This is what he's saying, not what we are asking. You know, we're here trying to educate. You understand? So to listen carefully. So I put it up so you can see the questions that are there. This is Neil Harper. You can search for him. I tried to reach out for him tonight, but he was busy at work. He says, why is superfluous data like driving license number available when you can scan the QR code? You especially should know that the Data Protection Act speaks to data minimization. He asked, can you share with the public what measures were taken to secure the web portal that is publishing all the personal data of Barbadian citizens? This is what Kimar is alluding to. He's saying he's saying here that the web portal that all of this data is being attached to, that it is not secure. A cybersecurity personnel, this is what he said on my show and what he wrote on his page. He says, he asks, what processes are in place to render the QR code non-functional if the individual card is lost? He said, can you also speak to the intention of using the Trident card as a store of value? Example, having it also to serve as a cashless bus pass. This is what was said. The gentleman asked these questions. This is way back months ago, and they never came on the program to ask it. There are several issues relating to this, including security, diverging post-issuance life cycles, customer support, etc. Read it for yourself. He's basically saying that the card is not ready yet. Okay, and he says, I have other questions, but hopefully someone will answer these ones first. These are some of the questions, and you can take a screenshot of this, but these are serious questions, right? Right. So, Alvin, I think that you really need to spend a little study on it, Alvin, because the questions that you're asking is saying that to me that you still don't necessarily you don't understand just yet. We have a video that we will show a little later, and hopefully that persons like Calvin, Alvin will be able to understand. We need to treat each other kindly. He's asking questions, and I think that is quite fine that he's doing that. Um, Yeah. So I think that we need to educate ourselves on this. I see Kimar dropped out again. I don't know if we have the video that we can show to help persons to understand. Do we have the video we can show quickly? Will it show? Kimar devices are not connected. He's connecting to come back on now, and I see Lumumba is here as well. While Kimar is being added, let me just add Lumumba. Lumumba, good evening. I know you have something just to say about the cards, and my apologies for not having you on earlier.
Yeah,
Sorry about that, but we were dealing with another very serious situation. So let's hear from Lumumba.
yeah,
We're gonna keep the video there, but let's hear Lumumba will share with us his thoughts about the cards, and what would he say to Barbadians about the cards. Go ahead, please.
yeah. For inviting me on, and Marcia, and Brother Caswell and Kimar. You know, respect all the time. Yeah. What I have to say, well, I think everybody kind of summed it, broke it down in a way that the people would understand. Because some people like to hear the facts of things, before they make a decision, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I would like to thank you, Marcia, for keep bringing the facts and showing the people, like, there's something wrong here. We supposed to be a people that they said Bajans got the highest IQ in the English speaking Caribbean. Um, so I think that the information that's being spread need to be spread, and the people need to use their own mind to see what's going on. Now, I'm coming basically not from that perspective, but I'm basically coming from a spiritual perspective. And I am saying, if a person lied to me one time, two times, three times, four times, I may be saying I hope this person's really start to recognize the truth. But the reality is the person have lied, and those lies is not like we could call lies that you can look over. Those lies that were told to us from the very beginning cost lives. A lot of people are dying because of those lies. And now you come to us and you say you want me to believe, you want us to believe you on the ID. And I am saying to me, I didn't really have to hear all those facts, because there was always something inside of me that was saying something just isn't right. I may not have been able to articulate it the way those brothers, Brother Caswell and Brother Kimar was able to. But within, deep within, I knew that something just wasn't right. It wasn't right from the beginning, and I wasn't looking for it to be right now. Um, so when they came up with the IDs, when they came up now from the jobs, the IDs, I'm saying, well, if you lie to us about the job, then maybe you gonna keep lying. Well, why would you have to force somebody to do something that is correct? That's number one. And this thing is being forced on us, so it should be telling us that something ain't right. Why you have to force an ID on a people? Why? This is questions we should be asking ourselves. There's no reason to. We already have our IDs. Okay, we're moving into a digital world. We understand that too. It's not that we against any form of technology or the advancement of technology. That is not what we are saying. We are saying that that ID that you are trying to give to us, we could clearly see that you will have total control of our lives. That it, to me, is going right back into slavery. I mean, that's what you before they had to kidnap us, they had to war with us in order to get us in enslavement. But nowadays, this time in these times, they don't have to do that. We walking willingly right into it. And anytime that a government have total control of your life, I mean, anytime that they don't like something you say, just like we may be having this discussion here, and they say, you know what, Lamumba, Kimar, Caswell, and Marcia shut down their accounts. We don't like what what they're saying. They could do that. They could do that. And I mean, so why would you want a person to have that kind of control over your life? Also, with the jobs, you don't think that they're finished with that. And I always say this, and I will continue to say that everything leads right back to that. So now, once they get your information and they got you fully under control with that ID, with the pinning of that ID, and you haven't been fully jabbed or you haven't been jabbed, they could also shut down your account and say, well, listen, the only way you could get this back on is that you have to go and be jabbed. So I mean, these are things that it doesn't. You don't have to be a scientist or a brainiac to see where this is going. They're taking us down a road, and every time we agree to something, it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. I mean, that's the reality of this. The new normal. They're taking us into the new normal, and we willingly walking into the new normal. I would think that I hope that people would pay attention to what you and the brother Kimar and Caswell and other people that you brought on the show would saying to us, and I hope we take heed to it. Nobody's telling you that we against the IDs, because that's the next thing they're saying. Oh, you're all against technology. No, I always say, how could black people talk about they're against technology when they're the first people to bring technology into existence? So we it's not that we against it, we against people having control, using that technology to have control over us. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, powerful, 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 powerful. Lumumba, thank you so much for that, and thank you for
Yeah.
waiting to come on. You were on earlier, and I
That's
thank you
okay.
for
I've been listening. I've been listening.
yes, very good. But before Kimar, I just want to share this little video here to help with the understanding. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Can you try to? Yeah. Go ahead.
broadcast regarding the digital IDs. Yesterday in Canada, Justin Trudeau met with all of our provincial premiers and basically told them that we will not be able to get funding for our healthcare unless the premiers agree to the digital IDs. I will show all the proof. Now, those of you who think that digital IDs are great, they are not. Let me show you what these digital IDs will actually entail when it comes to control. Here's an overview basically of everything that will be included into digital IDs. This can be found on the WEF website and also on all of the provincial and government websites. You will have healthcare. You will not be able to access any healthcare without this digital ID. Financial system. You will actually not even be able to carry out bank accounts or carry out anything online regarding financial transactions. Food and sustainability. This says for farmers and consumers, you will not be able to get into stores. You will not be able to even sell anywhere. Once they have this system in place, this is where the digital currency will come in. Travel and mobility. We saw that with the Arrive scam app. Humanitarian responses, which is basically just garbage. It's in case something happens, they will be able to track and find you, including if you don't want anything injected in your body. E-commerce, you will not be able to shop online. Then you have social media platforms. You will literally need this ID in order to get TikTok, Twitter, or Facebook. No more fake accounts. You have e-government. So if you want your taxes done, any sort of benefits from there, you will need this. Then it gets even scarier. Telecommunications, you will not be able to actually get an internet provider without this digital ID, and they will be able to track you. And then up there you have smart cities, and we all know what those are. Those of you who think I'm lying, here's the federal condition. In order for us to access our money, our tax money, this is basically a hostage situation of our tax money. And what you will see is instigators, government instigators under Twitter, under Justin Trudeau, that basically say we need to push our provincial governments to, get the money so that we can spend it better. No, we don't. We actually need to call our provincial governments right now, today and tomorrow, and every single day until they scrap this digital ID. They cannot pass this without our approval. So I need everybody in Canada to call your provincial governments and literally tell them that this is not going to happen. If we need to privatize, if we need to somehow get into a different system of healthcare, we need to do that. As for everyone in the United States, you're kind of lucky because your healthcare is privatized. There's also a lot more internet providers, some that will not go along with it because of capitalism. So your money is actually speaking a lot. But Canada, this is coming down the pipeline, and it's coming down the pipeline fast, and we need to act.
And I dare say Barbados is coming down the pipeline, and it's coming down fast, and you need to act. And that's what we are doing, what we can do on this program, and ask you to do what you can do. Have you written to your MPs? Have you let them know? Did you let them know how you feel about this? The good thing is that we have all of this information is out there. And what do you say to someone, Kimar, who says, well, that is Canada, this is Barbados, right? What do you say to someone? They say, oh, she's talking about Canada, this is Barbados. And she's talking about the WEF, that has nothing to do with us. What do you say?
It has everything to do with us because our Prime Minister is often, the Canadian Prime Minister often is looking to Barbados as far back when. But our leader has been traveling to Canada quite a bit. I've seen a lot of photos with her and Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. I also want to remind Barbados that Bill Morneau, who was the Minister of Finance in Canada, had contracts to consult on the NAS. And if you read the documents for the debt restructuring, the former Canadian Minister Bill Morneau, you will see his company Morneau Chappelle having been contracted by the government of Barbados to consult on the NAS. So we also have been borrowing money from Canada, and around the time of the restructuring, the Barbadian government also did not, I don't think they restructured the Canadian loan, if I can recall. So the Commonwealth, whereas in Barbados traditionally followed two big Commonwealth countries, and Canada is also a very large trading partner of Barbados as well too. So we are very tied to the Canadian economy, tourism. We have a large international business sector here that brings in close to billions of dollars every year. Um, a Canadian investment, and the Canadian Parliament was after Barbados, calling it a money laundering haven, where many Canadian politicians had billions of dollars stashed in Barbados. So Canada, also being a G7 country, is one of the leaders in the digital transformation of the world, along with all of the countries that hello, right. So
Yeah, go ahead.
Canada is also one of the leaders of this new age transition. Right, right. Canada is one of the agents of this new age transition. So whatever is done in countries like the US and Canada, who hold significant stake and investment in Barbados, not only in Barbados, but they have significant investment in the IMF. They have significant investment in the international financial system. So Canada dictates a lot of rules in the world, and Canada has a lot
Mm-hmm.
of power in the world. So we then, if you look at the Canadian embassy has quite a bit of presence in Barbados, and any country that has significant sums of investment, the whole Barbados has significant sums of investment for Canada, they always deploy measures to protect their assets,
Mm.
much like the States, much like China. So you can't say, but it's just Canada and disconnect that from the geopolitical reality of Barbados and other small island states and many other countries that come under the handprint of these G7 countries.
Yeah. But thank you for that. And I hope that it because we really are about education. And so I'm hoping that somebody else will be able to understand. The persons who were asking, I heard one gentleman said, I'm going now to go and research, which is good. Research is good.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to make one more point on that. I heard the opposition leader of Canada, Pierre Poilievre, accusing the Trudeau government of taking Canada into the Great Reset.
Mm-hmm.
And they're accusing the minister of Canada, whose name is Christopher Freeland, of being one of the young global leaders, having been trained by the World Economic Forum. And they're saying
Mm-hmm.
that she's a high-ranking member of the World Economic Forum. Uh, Well, they're accusing her, but if you look it up, you will see that there are a little bit more than accusations, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just to balance off the conversation, members of the Canadian opposition has been speaking out against the tyranny and the tyrannic laws that were rolled out during the COVID period, and they're accusing the Prime Minister of being a high-handed dictator, much like the same accusations that were leveled here in Barbados against ours, because we almost followed Canada lockstep in all of the draconian measures that they implemented down there. We brought them here. Mm.
Yeah. I think we have dealt with this. We will continue each night because we need to continue to educate our fellow Barbadians. We're not going to shout down people. They have a question, answer the question because we're in this thing together. This we in we when we say we in it together, we in it together. We're not like them people that doing one thing for themselves, and but we all have to go and search about it, right? But someone here is saying, Kimar, you're well informed, and what you're saying is true. Yeah. Now, what I want to do though is to engage the two of you, Mr. Franklin and Kimar, for the next, say 25 minutes that we have, let's engage and talk about the Draxol plantation, because I did advertise that we're going to talk about that, and that is also very intriguing, and that would fall on the transparency and accountability. But before I go, something is telling me to find out if anybody has another question about this. We don't want to move the class on too fast and then somebody has a question. Anybody with a question about the IDs? Anybody with a question? No questions? I don't see anything coming through. Okay, so someone is asking, I can't put that up, but do we understand that all of this is connected to the job? I think Kimar said that, right, Kimar?
But I think that was Caswell that, or Lumumba. I think it was somewhere else that said that it was connected to the job
To the job,
specifically. But
to the
yeah,
job, yes, I think,
but
okay.
eventually the job will be used. They can have your job status on the ID. So when you turn up to a border or so, and they run your digital ID, uh, and they see that you're not job, they might refuse you entry from coming into the country.
Worse yet, but hold and jab you.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
That's what Australia was doing, running down people and giving them some jobs in the street. No, they actually did in Australia.
They
The
were
police
making
use
sure.
they use horses and stuff and run on people and give them one. And no,
Somebody, yeah, sorry.
they are saying that the people are taking them to the court now because they've ended up being very ill as a result of those jobs.
Yeah, and some died. Actually, let me put a plug in that we're doing a recording with Anissa Baptiste from, Anissa Baptiste from St. Vincent and the Grenadines tomorrow, where she will be able to speak freely, and we're going to put that on our Rumble account. So that should be available by Tuesday evening. We should get that on, where she's going to talk about all of this freely and make the connections. So people who have further questions, to see the connection between the jobs and the IDs and the WF, and where we're actually going, and how much we're going to need one another and need to keep the love between each other going in order to survive. Somebody's asking, do we have to get these IDs? Do Barbadians have to get the IDs? People are asking questions. Anybody?
The answer to that is the government is forcing you to get them because they are making it impossible to live in Barbados without these IDs. You can't access services. You can't even get your own money from the banks. You can't, mind you, they said it was not mandatory, but they are putting it, they're making sure that you can do nothing without them. So even though they're not mandatory, you must have them. And that's why we have to resist, because we have to tell the government, no. You are here to act in the best interest of Barbadians. We hire you. The government is our government that we put in place. They're working for us, and they should not be the people who terrorize and brutalize us. They know better, but they want to have these international personas and stuff, and people outside say, "Oh, she's great. Don't mind she don't come out here and that kind of thing, but she's nice," and she wants all those accolades. So to get them, they have to sacrifice us, and they are doing everything possible to fit in. You like, for instance, if you're at school, a little young fella or a little young girl, and you got these people, you want to be in the crowd, you have to follow suit, and then you get into trouble. You know what can happen? The fellas that got family with money think they get them out into trouble, and you just stay in it. That's life. You want to be big boys, and you go and do things that encourage you to do stuff. If you remember, they decide that they're going to abolish the death penalty for people under 18. What they did, the criminals start getting 17-year-old boys to carry the guns for them. The same thing with Barbados. Those people out there are getting Barbados to do the dirty work for them.
Hmm.
And you feel big. You feel empowered. You feel like you're getting noticed. You know? It's like I leave children at school who's going to want make friends with the people so they're going to go and fit in and do everything. Everything has a price. And the price is Barbados. Our health, our finances, our nationality.
Right,
Because
your sovereignty, yeah.
they can come down here and they're buying off Barbados. There are countries. Right now, my son is in Bali. And he cannot buy property in Bali. He can lease it for 25 years. But Barbados, you come down here, and once you sell that property, it is out of Barbadian hands. And we don't have a lot of property to sell.
Right,
But
right.
Casper, that started that the sale of land or the selling of land started with the in 1994 under a bill from the IADB called the Investment Sector Loan for around
Yes.
30 something million dollars that were not for signed, and that was one of the worst deals that he could have ever signed. And his pitch on that deal was that we want land in Barbados to fetch its highest value, and he
I,
sell out.
I,
Yeah, he sold out a lot of the prime real estate in Barbados, a lot of agricultural lands to build hotels and condos and private villas, and that jack up and it reject all the zoning policies in Barbados. So what was zone 2 land became zone 1 land, was zone 3 land. He changed all the zones, and that rigged the price of land to go so far out to the richer poor people. And what the government realized now, and they sort of help some of the plantation owners to make a lot of money. Tom Adams passed the Tenantry Freeholds Purchase Act, which gave uh, people the chance to buy land on the plantations at, I think it was 10 cents, Caswell.
10 cents a square foot.
Right, 10 cents a square foot. So you had a few people getting houses, like some of our grandmothers and like getting some houses on plantations. And what the government recognized now is that poor people been getting too much houses at cheap. So what they did is to allow some of the plantations to apply for subdivision of the land and change up some of the zoning policies so the land could be sold above 10 cents a square foot at market value. So who was holding out their hand hoping for the 10 cents a square foot got their hearts broken, and then the government involved the banks by allowing the banks to offer mortgages to come and build house and land on the properties and having the properties sold for close to $500,000, then up to $1 million. So they crushed the dreams of poor people and crushed all the hard work of their very own Tom Adams by doing something very draconian like that. So now you can't really get plantation land at 10 cents a square foot no more in Barbados.
Look,
You gotta buy at the market price.
no. Let me explain to you what happened there. If you were living on the plantation tenantry land for 5 years or more, you were entitled to purchase that land at 10 cents a square foot. And if you had other lands attached to the house, like the curtilage or even agricultural lot, they will allow you to buy the agricultural lot for $1 per square foot. Government owned plantation tenantries. The Bell was a plantation tenantry. All like Chris Village, my Lord and stuff, they were plantation tenantries. The government turned around, despite the law saying it's 10 cents a square foot, and sold those people the land for $2.50 a square foot. Can we tell you? The government started it first. Government started robbing its own people first. So if other plantation owners just follow suit, came out, the government started, because the law is there 10 cents per square foot. And I'll give you an example too. The church sold the land, the glebe land in St. Thomas, to the tenants at 10 cents a square foot. My brother was one of the beneficiaries. And when he sent in the application, he's approving everything, government said, we want that land. So if the government want the land, the church cannot no convert to my brother. They have to give it to the government. The government says to him, okay, now you got to move. He's on a quarter acre of land, and they want to put him on 3,000 square feet. And for the last more than 20 years now, the government refused to move him to a suitable spot, build up this thing they call the Rock Freedom Village, which is not built in Rock Hall either, because that spot where the Freedom Village is was never Rock Hall. It was the glebe St. Thomas. Glebe is church lands. We have the glebe in St. George, you got glebe all over the place, because glebe just means the church lands. That was land was the glebe. I grew up in Rock Hall. That was, when we were little fellas, we didn't know the word glebe. We used to call it the glee. My grandfather used to rent land up there and stuff. But then all of a sudden, some historians came up, directed themselves, and established what as Rock Hall. There was never Rock Hall. So they built Rock Hall Freedom Village outside of Rock Hall. The Rock Hall Freedom Village is not in Rock Hall. Believe it or not. And then they started raising people that want my brother know to pay trying some $1 square for all kinds of for the land that they're supposed to relocate him on, when in fact they're saying to him that you should be put in the same position that you were in. I had that signed off with Minister Lashley, Stephen Lashley. I know these people can't want to change it. They're a bunch of hooligans.
Because I know you say that Marcia was asking a question before in terms of the Drax plantation, right? So I'm still glad that we're going on to this live conversation. Last week, Friday, I would have said on the show that the government is seeking to go after Richard Drax, the UK member of parliament, seeking reparations in lands and whatever other currency they want, right? So this, as we all know, Trevor Prescott is the chairman on the National Reparations Committee.
Yeah, right.
So this particular this particular reparations move had Prescott in it, it had Commission in it, and I think the Prime Minister in it as well. And I keep hearing Prescott keep saying, and I read many articles from Prescott when he was speaking in Parliament saying, oh, we should build houses at Draxall, we should build houses at Draxall. When I read all the online media, especially from the UK, the guy who owned the land, the MP in England, was saying that he didn't really looking to get them his land. He wasn't looking to cooperate. And he said that he was coming to Barbados to have a meeting with the Prime Minister of this country. When Commission was asked about the process at Draxall, Commission said, no, it's out of my hands. That's not going on to higher authorities. So if anything, you would have to ask the Cabinet of Barbados what's happening with Draxall. We heard nothing happening with Draxall until today, where the Minister of Housing, Dwight Sunderland, where the Draxall plantation is directly in his constituency. He's coming out talking about, oh, they got lands up at Draxall, they got lands up at Draxall. But as far as we know, the government in their own admission say that the land at Draxall plantation belongs to Richard Drax in England. But still, the residents at Harmony Cottage, which is the land adjoining on the Draxall plantation, could receive letters from the Planning and Development Department signed by Oswald Rawlings, who's the Director of Planning and Development, saying that an entity called Draxall Plantation, not Draxall Plantation Limited, not Draxall Plantation Inc., but an entity called Draxall Plantation is applying for permission to subdivide the lands at Draxall Plantation for residential purposes. The last time I checked, Richard Drax never came out and said that he gave the government of Barbados any land. The last time I checked, the cabinet of Barbados never issued any statement to say that they have been given permission to manage, direct, anything to do with Draxall Plantation. I have not seen them file any compulsory acquisitions to take over the lands at Draxall Plantation, nor I have not seen any lands vested into the Crown in Parliament. But still, an application is being made to subdivide the lands at Draxall Plantation that belongs to Richard Drax, the MP in England, for residential purposes. So I have some questions for Dwight Sutherland. I will ask Trevor Prescott if he knows about this, because he says that they don't tell him anything and he's the chairman of reparations. So I want to know if they did a reparations deal in terms of getting land from Drax and he was left out of it like usual. And if he knew, what is the deal that we got in reparations from Drax? We got money and land, and what did we get from Richard Drax in the deal? That this so-called entity called Draxall Plantation can be seeking to subdivide lands that they say belongs to Drax and belongs to the government. So I have some serious questions there.
Yes, Kimar, I'm trying. One second, I was saying I'm trying to get the actual document up on the screen because it's I think that is very important that we understand that. Do we now own these lands, and who is the person that is who has a title that they're now subdividing the land, and who is going to get it? What is happening? I think this is what we talk about transparency. We know that you as you said that they came down to have a talk with the prime minister. What are the results of that talk? Do you know? Anybody knows? And why is this now? Who's going to get this land? Who's going to get all of this property at Draxall Plantation? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have no idea.
Right?
I have no idea. I have the document on my phone as well, but I don't. You see, it doesn't identify the applicant. It says notice hereby given.
Right.
The application has been made to the Director of Planning and Development by Draxall Plantation. Draxall Plantation is not an entity in law. It got to be Draxall Plantation Limited, Draxall Plantation Inc., Draxall Plantation something. Or it might be by Kimar Short or Caswell Franklin. But this Draxall Plantation doesn't mean anything. So until I see more, I can believe a fiddle is going on. Because they're hiding from us. Because I would have to go now to the Corporate Affairs Registry and check and see Draxall Plantation, and I will not see that legal name there anywhere. It got to be Drax. So something is wrong here.
Good. So given the fact that given the fact there's no legal entity on the paper, to get permission to subdivide land, you have to have the legal name of the entity on the paper, and that's not the case.
So this is it here, guys, and we want to thank the a member of the opposition who was able to provide this document to us. And so this is important because if we're going to govern, we need to ask questions. That's why I love how Alvin was asking the questions tonight. Questions are made to be asked. We're asking questions, right? So I think this is important. We read it. Go ahead.
This is in Dwight Sutherland. This is in Dwight Sutherland's constituency of St. George South. So He, as the MP for St. George South, and he's also the Minister of Housing, should tell us how, as Minister of Housing, permission is being sought to subdivide land for residential purposes on land that they said does not belong to the government, and who is Drax Plantation that applying for subdivision. As Carol said, that's not anything real, that's not a legal entity, it's not even a person that's applying for it. And if we go to the corporate registry and find out that this name Drax Plantation is not in there, then somebody needs to be charged. Because this looks very.
There is.
Go ahead.
They got here in the little box. It says it's digitally signed by Oswald Rollins. So it's on the 4th of September 2023. I have the reference number that you don't have, and it says reason official correspondence. That can't be a reason. That is not a reason. Official correspondence. Does that make sense?
So this looks like so if we can't get the story, I have not heard Drax in England, or I have not seen anything in the UK media putting up any statements as to handing over any lands whatsoever to the government of Barbados. And on the other side, the government of Barbados has not put out any statements or any comments whatsoever about receiving lands, either through reparations or either through gift or compulsory acquisition or anything of the like.
But you think there's also a way to buy land, obtain land by private treaty where people can sell it to you. I doubt very much that the governments bought the land. Bought it with what? Not the 1.3 billion to get for national insurance. I hope not.
I don't believe that to buy it, because if they wanted to buy it, they won't be begging Drax through reparations. And you got David Denny and the whole Pan-Africanist movement, all of them in the news after Drax for the land. All of them are in the news.
Somebody's asking, do we think this is a forged document? Is a fair question, you think?
No,
is this a forged document?
I don't believe so. You want to know why? My document has the one that things that you have. My document has the reference number. So if it is forged, it is 0984/07/2023B. So that is a reference number from the tongue. But I keep saying tongue planning, but you know what I mean, planning and development office.
Mm-hmm.
So it is official document, and
but it's part of the same issues we raised in North as well, in terms of the government firing the former chief town planner and abolishing his office, to then set up a board to then make these type of decisions, where now the government appoints their own people to make decisions on town planning after abolishing the office of chief town planner, to then come up with something called a director of planning and then appointed on the board. So this is how you end up with things like this.
That board was something else. You know, people who are in the business of developing lands serving on that board, and their applications get priority over everybody else's. You hear that? Yeah. You know, you have actual people in the business deciding who applications can go through fast enough, who can get approved fast, or who can get approved at all. But these are people who are competing with those same people, and they're on the board. Lord help us.
Well, you know, with all of the corruption surrounding land in Barbados, I think that these are fair questions that the opposition is asking tonight. We are the official opposition, and I thank those that brought this to our attention. And you can easily get hold of me if there are other, if you know anything more about this, or you do any research tomorrow, and you can reach out to any of us, 236 7000, and most of you probably have Caswell's number, and let us know, because these are where nobody's saying anything on here we don't know, or somebody wants us to make it bigger so that they can read it. Let me see the best I
Yeah.
can do here.
Martha, you should probably read it out. You should probably read it out loud for those who can't see.
Who can see? Okay, so let me just remove this off of it, and just read it. Actually, I have the one in my hand here. I'm trying to move this banner, and yeah. It says here, adjoining landowners, that's at the top, Planning and Development Act 2019, application number. It has an application number. Okay. It's right there. You can take a screenshot. I'm sure you probably should be able to get more information on it with all the details in the letter. Proposed Development Act, Drax Plantation, Drax Hope, St. George. Notice is hereby given that application has been made to the Director of Planning and Development by Drax Plantation for planning permission in respect of subdivision of land from other lands of Drax Plantation for residential purposes. A copy of the application and of the plans and other documents submitted with it may be inspected at all reasonable hours at Planning and Development Department, Warren's Office Complex, Warren St. Michael. See, there's a mic that is going off. 1 second. I'm sorry. During the 14 days following the date of receipt of this notice. And so you have 14 days to check on that. I don't know if we're gone the 14 days. I can't see the date. If somebody can help me, Caswell can help me to know if the date is gone already. But 14 days
The
following
date is in the box at the bottom.
at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, the box at the
Oh, I
bottom.
see. Thank you, Caswell. September 4th was the date it was submitted. And so 14 days from that, would that be the 28th of
No, no,
September?
no, 14, 18th.
That'll
The
be
8th,
today, the 18th
That
today. So
today.
today will be the deadline.
today, the 18th, the deadline. Thank you, Caswell. The 18th, today's the deadline. Any person who wishes to make representations to the Director of Planning and Development about the application should do so in writing within that period to that office. Yours faithfully, Oswald Rollins, for Director of Planning and Development. And the little box that you see there, it says digitally signed by Oswald Rollins. Email oswin.rollins@planning.gov.bb. The date is there, Monday, September 4th. And there's a reference number 0984072023B. Reason, official correspondence, Planning and Development Department. And there's a code there. And the letterhead, it's actually on the letterhead. I'm not able to move it to the top for you to see the letterhead. So thank you. There's a letterhead there. So I think the letterhead is cut off of this one that's up. So that's the information that we have there. That's all we are able to report and ask questions as the opposition. This is a land we love. This is our country. This our navel string cut. There's a cut here, right? The navel string cut here. And I was naturalized. Some of you are navel string, very here, they say, right? So this is your country. And so this is important. Okay. So so it's important. You can it's important information here, so you'll be able to get that and take a screenshot and ask questions. Use your Facebook accounts, use your Twitter accounts, use your Instagram account and ask the question. You don't need to accuse anyone. Ask the questions, call them out, force them to come and tell us about this, right? Force them. All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock and we are, oh boy, what a full night we had, a roller coaster of emotions for me, boy. Tonight, Kimar, is there anything a final word? You have 1 minute to give a final word to the people of Barbados, and then over to Mr. Franklin.
Yeah, we had a good show as usual. I just want to give a special shout out to Apostle Margaret Brady Haynes. I appreciate the strength for the lady, and I remember during COVID when she was out there on a Walmart protest, encouraging people to get back to God, you know. And she was one of these few soldiers out there speaking about communism and dictatorships and the way Barbados was heading. So I was very pleased to see her on the show tonight. All of God's army is coming together. And I pray for the strength for us to continue fighting. We are the people's opposition, put here by the Father to do a work. And I just want to encourage all the good men and women out there to join the fight, to continue on, as we need to represent ourselves against tyrannical rule, not just right here in Barbados, but a global move to take over the minds of the people on earth. So we want to raise the Christ consciousness again all across this island and all across the world and continue to do the good work that we know we are supposed to do. So thank you very much. Power to the people. We are the opposition. And as I said on Saturday, very soon we will be the people's government instead of the people's opposition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimar. It's always a pleasure to have you. And let's hear from our general tonight.
Well, I just want to be very quick. Barbados, the people of this country, has to stop hero worshiping. Call things out when you see them. If some person is wrong, say so. And I don't really understand why people would believe that because someone is elected to a particular position, that they have integrity and they're honest and that kind of stuff, when their actions are showing otherwise. You know, are we not using our minds? Are we not thinking for ourselves? If that were your neighbors who were saying these things to you, another politician, would you believe them? All of a sudden, we start believing that politicians are holier than thou and almighty and that kind of stuff, and they don't lie, and they don't cheat, and they don't steal. Well, they do all of those things and more. And we, because we do not have an official opposition, we have to hold them to account. Because no one was holding them to account. Poor little me tried that in the Senate, and they got rid of me from the Senate. But they cannot get rid of me from the Marsevich, so only Marsevich can do that. And I hope she doesn't do so. Because I will speak out when I see it necessary. I don't think that everything they do is bad, but my job is not to praise them and to give them accolades. My job is to point out when they're going wrong. They have enough people to praise each other. So when people say, "Oh, you don't say anything good about the people and anything," they set up for themselves. I ain't gonna join that chorus. My job now would be my self-appointed job would be to show where the warts are. Not tell them, "Oh, what a lovely day," and you have that. No. They do that to themselves. They go in the Senate and you hear each minister praising each other and that kind of stuff. I ain't gonna join that mutual admiration society because when you pull that veil from over it, you can see the ugliness under that veil. And I will show it. The only
Yeah.
thing that bothers me though is that you have people when you speak up because they believe that they're politicians they become nasty. Mind you, the nastiness don't really bother me. It bothers other people because people call me today and tell me I was being abused and stuff. And even my sister called and I said, she said, but on the radio, I said, but if you don't want to hear it, turn off the radio. You know, don't bother about me. I'm good. And all they did was to say, yes, I will speak at a meeting on national insurance. I ain't coming to do anything else. And that has been a big problem. And then people attack me for agreeing to speak about national insurance. We were speaking about national insurance for the last month on this show. This is where it started.
It
So
is. It's startling.
I'm going to advise the people to continue listening to the show, continue watching it, continue to share it. And it is still available after we are gone, so you can watch it later.
Yes. Yes.
All right?
Thank you so much,
And
Mister.
thank you.
We're happy that you are continuing to speak. We're going to be on again on Wednesday. At 7 o'clock. We skip tomorrow. No class tomorrow. The opposition, we don't have any meeting tomorrow, but 7 o'clock. And in the meantime, use your Facebook pages, use your Twitter account, use your Instagram account, ask the hard questions. And I'm saying this opposition is made up of all of Barbados, whether you are from BLP or DLP or APP, because we all love Barbados and we're asking the questions. All right. So we want you to keep asking your questions, use your pages, and bring awareness to this Drax Hall. Talk about the teachers, talk about the ID, everything we talk about here tonight. Keep it going. All right. God bless you all. We love you. Have a good night. Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin and Mr. Stewart. God bless you.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
good night. Good night. Have a good night.